the Orion's belt, and they go, "Where'd you see that?" Oh, I saw Men in Black. They talked about the spaceship was coming back around, and they'll ask you, "When's the next time Halley's Comet will be here?" The dudes would say, "Oh, Halley's Comet crashed and killed the dinosaurs." And these are the type of people.
Point?
These are the type of people who believe the heliocentric model, and they have no idea what they're talking about.
I believe in the heliocentric model, and I don't believe in any of that. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So instead of trying to educate flat earthers, why not go to people who kind of have a concept of this stuff first and actually open up an education page and tell people?
What does that have?
So what's your goal here? My goal.
What do you need an education page for? You've got school.
Yeah. So the government school failed the majority of the human people who go to it, and yet
in
somehow,
the U.S.
yeah,
maybe
in the U.S. So now you've got this idea. What's your end game? You want to talk about flat Earth all the time, when your own side is seriously lacking in education in this idea. Like, it's so hilarious.
I just asked. Yeah, well, look,
what are you talking about? Side.
we just asked.
This is just like the education levels of society. What's the side?
Yeah, for like this idea that's all like 99.999% of the people believe the Earth is a globe. They also believe that the galaxy they live in is called Mars. The moon is made of cheese.
99.999%. So you got that off one video, and you're extrapolating that to the entire
No,
population.
it went right over your head, dude.
That's no.
This is a claim for you guys that flat earthers.
So hold on.
Hold
on, because some people said they saw what they believe on Men in Black. That means that all globers believe that. Is that what you're saying?
No, my saying is your end game should be, if you really cared about education, you wouldn't just be sitting with arguing with people who observe the Earth is flat, who know it's flat. You'd go out there and say, "Hey, I saw this globalist guy," and help him out. Throw him a bone once in a while.
Yes,
that would actually strengthen your argument.
Are you directing this at like a group of people, or like just the people in this Discord, or like society as a whole, or whatever?
This is why you guys keep jumping in conversations when you're. I'm talking to what was that, Tom, right? Or
Tom, Tom.
So if your goal is to get them to stop, to teach the flat Earth in schools, and for NASA to get shut down, then you're going to have to go about the right way. And going through Facebook and YouTube is not the right way to do it. And going with everybody having a different concept and having real arguments about yourself is not going to do it either.
Yeah, that wasn't my goal. That wasn't
you also
my goal.
have to replace all that education, all that sciences, all that stuff that has.
Check it out. That wasn't my goal. And by the way, that stuff is going to happen anyway. NASA will be shut down. The Department of Education will be defunded from the federal government, because you can simply look at government spending. It is unsustainable. These things will end by themselves. I just got to sit back and watch the.
That's what I've been saying to them now. I've said to them, look, we're on the flat Earth now, and you ballers are in the same position as us, where we're just here on the Earth doing things that you would do on a flat Earth. You're not going to space. You're not flying around to Mars. You're not doing, going around the moon. So all we've got to do is just literally just wait, watch you guys kind of fall apart, realizing, well, hold on, how comes we're not doing the things we told them?
So then you don't really care about getting your message out. You don't have enough proof for it. You don't have enough passion for it. Otherwise, you go, hey, we got enough information now. We're going to go and present this, present our tests, present that they can't be denied. It can't be falsified.
Same for you. Same for you guys. You guys are in the same boat.
Kimo, then if that is correct, that it's falling apart, then why does QE disagree with you on that take? He once said that the flat Earth discussion is over, and it was 5 years ago. So it's actually you who is falling apart, right?
I think today's, flat earther is just watching and waiting now. I mean, they'll have a discussion with you guys, but I think we know that no one's going to space. We know this. We know no one's going to the moon. We know this, like 100%.
You know
fact.
Nothing at
Nobody's
all.
going outside of this atmosphere. So we know this.
Wait,
you
Kimo,
kind of know it.
What's your response to what I told you earlier about how I can measure the horizon dropping?
They said it's apparent. So how do you know? Basically,
1 degree every 69 miles.
Yeah, but the horizon that I can measure. What's your response to that?
So like I said, we know this is not going to happen. So what that means for you guys are going to be like, because you guys think you are going, yeah? So you're going to be like, yeah, we are going. So you
going where?
To Mars, to the moon, to space, things like this. I mean,
I don't think I'm going. I think people are going.
We actually have evidence to say that, Kimo. You've got nothing.
No, that's my point. You're saying we are going to go. We are going to go. Yeah. So the idea is that you've been told you're going to go. And
Kimo, when I actually bring up the substance,
I don't think I'm going to be going to Mars at all.
No, but you think that somebody's going to go to Mars or to the moon or something like this, yeah?
Isn't that? But what does that matter? Like you asked me like 5 or 10 minutes ago to something that we can verify on our own. I gave you something.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to finish, did we? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So and I'm just curious, like what's your response? And from there we just went off on this entirely irrelevant and tangent.
I know.
And I'm just curious.
So yeah, we were looking for
I think
that's fine. We were looking for ways to verify the 3959, and you suggested going 30,000 feet, looking at the horizon, measuring the drop or something like that. Yeah.
Measuring the angle from eye level.
The angle from eye.
Can I get a quick mic check, please? Is that better?
Yeah, you're good.
Measuring the.
Stop fucking muting me. I didn't say a word. My mic flashed once, and you immediately muted me when I was about to say something. I am fucked off with this. Check to see if someone's got a hot mic, if that's what you think's going on. Exactly like you did to the last 3 other people you thought were hot micing. Oh, what's that noise? What's that sound? Let's find out who it is. No, you see my mic flash, and you immediately fucking mute me. Stop it.
You can see in the chat here that everyone is saying that you were breaking up, you were flashing, you're out of control, you were.
Who said that in chat? One person said to me that my audio was broken when I switched mics.
That's what I'm saying. I thought you were just background noise. That was all.
I didn't make any noise. There was no noise coming out of my mic.
There is now, and you're derailing the conversation.
Yes, because I'm annoyed because you muted me for no fucking reason.
All right,
that's again, and
let me help
like
that's the end of it now,
3 days.
Hey, let me help. Let me de-escalate this a little bit, okay? The issue here is that basically people are recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they want good audio for this, so other people can listen who don't partake in Discord. So if you've got somebody yawning in the background, clapping, making weird hyena sounds, that stuff makes bad audio that people don't want to listen to.
Right.
Yeah,
that's all this is. That's all it is.
That wasn't coming from my mic.
You're interrupting now,
turned on. So I've got noise suppression already applied. So you don't hear me yawning. You don't hear the click clack of my keys. None of that.
Yeah, but that's all it is. It's nothing personal.
Right. This is you've made your point,
okay?
Drus.
Just don't take it that way.
Yeah, he's made his point, and now he wants to take the entire conversation. Let's get back to where we were.
Stop being a dickhead, unmuting.
Yeah, like I just said, we've finished that now. Okay, we were trying to get back onto how we can verify the 3959, and we were given a suggestion. So let's focus back on that. You made your point. Been explained about the background noise. Not something we want to have on the audio.
There was no fucking background noise coming from my mic. Stop fucking lying. I will go back and I will check the audio and I will have a look.
No, that wasn't why you were muted, by the way.
Well, that's why you just said you muted me, because of background noise. So what is it, Kimo? Can you not fucking get the truth straight? Oh, of course you can't, because you're Kimo and you're a fucking liar.
Well, that time was because we're trying to move on and you're trying to make it basically about you now.
No, I'm not. I'm annoyed the fact that you muted me again for no reason, and you could have said, "Hey, let's move on."
We just have been saying it 3 or 4 times.
You've addressed me like
now
a
you're
human.
making me shout.
I've immediately moved on. When you treat me like a cunt, I'll fucking rage.
So where were we?
Right.
Got to verify. Yeah, we've got to verify 3950.
Let's start to destroy Flat Earth.
Look, if it's a ball, guys, spinning, flying through space, you've got nothing to worry about, right? The evidence should be there, it should be vast, it should be numerous.
Yeah, it is there, Kimo.
It is there, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So if it's there, you've got nothing to worry about. We can talk about it, we can present it, we can demonstrate it. That's
well, the thing that worries me is people rejecting it for no reason.
Okay, so
Kimo, is there air pressure on this Earth here?
Are you asking me?
Where does the pressure come from?
Kimo.
Where does it come from, the pressure?
Kimo, if we take water in a
literally, let's not change the subject. Let's go back to
Kimo, we take water in a vacuum chamber, it boils. Why it don't boil here on the surface?
Can we get literally? Let's not.
Kimo, that is the answer to the question. Here is air pressure.
Okay, but the question would be, where does the pressure come from? That's the question.
No. He's saying, why have we got pressure?
You said there is no air pressure.
Above it.
Above it where? What do you mean? Where does it come from? Yeah, there is no atmospheric pressure. Where does the pressure come from?
The pressure is coming from the weight of the air.
There is no atmospheric pressure because atmospheric pressure requires gravity. Gravity is not a force, so therefore it cannot pull down the atmosphere. So where does your pressure come from?
Water boils in a vacuum chamber because of low pressure, and it doesn't boil on the surface of the earth. Says you're fucking wrong to make that assertion that we can't have atmospheric pressure. So would you like to make a point that makes actual sense?
Or the fact that you can literally just suck on a water bottle or something, and it. Like,
I'm not arguing any of that though, BT. You're missing the point. Listen to the question.
Not really.
You missed the point.
You are missing the point, Litchwink. Where the place? Where does the pressure come from?
Yes, explain to me, Kimo.
I've got a pen in my hand, Kimo. That pen exists. I don't know where this pen came from, but I know it exists. We have atmospheric pressure. We know it exists. We know we can make an experiment and use a vacuum chamber and watch water boil. We can look at the boiling point change as we gain in altitude, demonstrating that pressure. So again, I have the pen. You asking where this pen came from is immaterial to the fact that the pen exists.
And what is your explanation for the pressure here on the ground, Kimo?
Well, again, you have to explain me, where does it come from?
What is your explanation for the pressure on the ground?
I've told you.
How do you know that you've got pressure unless you know where the force is coming from?
We have pressure. You can't deny it. And where it comes from?
But it's not atmospheric pressure. It's not atmospheric pressure, right?
What is your explanation for this pressure?
Well, it needs gravity, doesn't it? Atmospheric pressure.
No. It's your explanation, not mine.
No, I'm not making a claim of any pressure. I don't feel pressure. I didn't say there was pressure.
You can't deny something.
If you're saying there's pressure, you explain to me where the pressure comes from.
No, you have to explain it. We have an answer.
And do I I've told you this like 6 times already. What's the response to that?
Oh, is this another question?
No, you've asked like 10 times. Where is the pressure coming
from? Oh, and what is the answer?
It's coming from the weight of the air above it.
The weight of where does the weight come from?
But he has to give an explanation for his word.
The weight is coming from gravity.
There we go. Thank you. Finally.
Yeah, so
finally, there we go. The weight's coming from gravity. So
what's next?
Gravity. Which kind of gravity?
What do you mean? Which kind?
What do I mean? I mean Newtonian or Einsteinian?
Does it matter to this conversation?
Yeah, because one is pulling to the center of the Earth, and one is bending the space and time around it. Of course it matters.
Right, Kimo, which appeal to incredulity are you referring?
Does it matter?
Which appeal to incredulity? It's an appeal to incredulity.
I'm not appealing to anything. I'm asking him about.
They're both gravity.
I'm asking him about his claim. He said there's pressure. We went all the way around the bush, finally got to gravity. Finally realizing that gravity is not a force. So, if it's not a force and can't apply pressure, then where does the pressure come from?
It causes an acceleration. What the deeper explanation is irrelevant to that topic. It causes an acceleration, and that's it. Get over it.
It's not. It's not something I need to get over. It's something I want to be able to manipulate the accelerate. I want to be able to change the acceleration rate with this force that you say is gravity. It's not something I need to get. I want to be able to do science with it.
You can.
How can we do science by changing the acceleration of 9.8 meters per second? I want to increase that rate. I want to slow it down with this force.
Get a
no
mass,
problem.
Get a mass bigger than the Earth.
You can accelerate yourself upwards. Then you have a different G, right? Different acceleration. Or you can jump out of a plane. Then you have a different acceleration. It's 0, right?
What? That's me controlling like the aerodynamics and stuff, yeah? I'm talking about if I'm falling or something's falling at 9.8 meters per second squared, for example, how can I increase that acceleration or slow it down or even stop it? Just stop it like that.
9.8 meters per second squared is the acceleration. It's not the speed you're falling at.
How do I increase that acceleration? How do I slow it down? How do I stop that acceleration? In midair. Bang, just like that.
Power.
In midair, just like that. How do I do that?
Yeah, energy. You got to apply some sort of force or energy.
In mid-flight. As it's falling, I want to just stop it. In fact, I want to reverse it. If it's going down, 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 I want to stop it and then reverse it. Flip the game down. Yeah.
Get into a centrifuge, then the vector will change.
Is that in a container?
And spin yourself.
Is that a container?
You don't need a container. You can spin yourself around quickly.
Spin myself around, and I'll go up.
No, you will have a different vector of acceleration.
Yeah, but I want to go up. I want to change the direction, control it in every direction.
You can push with something.
Now, we can do this with density and temperature. Have things move laterally, up and down, diagonally.
Yeah, why does that happen?
Relative density.
But you accept that you can't do it with density, right? It doesn't give you a direction.
Yeah.
It leaves you with nothing.
Yeah, it gives you every direction.
An empty and just a number, right?
Would you call it buoyancy?
Buoyancy requires gravity, so no.
Interesting.
Because gravity's not a force. You know that, right? No, you didn't know that. But now you do. Because Einstein came along and said, hey, Newtonian, get out of town. I'm this new guy around here with this bending of space-time. I've saved the heliocentric model from falling apart, basically. That's what he's done, basically.
Right. So you're saying that Einstein's right, and that Einstein says I'm saving.
If I was a baller, he'd be a genius to me, an absolute genius, because he would have explained everything.
He is a genius. But
that's what I mean.
You just appealed to his.
No, if I was a baller.
And then you said that he saved the heliocentric model.
Yeah. He absolutely gave.
Cool. So I'm glad we agree. Good talk.
Yeah, so he's basically said, the bending of space-time is the answer for everything. But that's just a mathematical idea, construct, not reality. Nowhere we can manipulate the bending of space-time to cause acceleration. See?
Mathematics is not just an idea. Stop making things up.
No, but what I'm saying is that the cause of the acceleration
over the internet.
The cause of the acceleration cannot be manipulated.
Cannot be what?
So what else? What else do we have then to give us the pressure? If it's not gravity.
How about the
Nothing,
transfer?
Because it is gravity.
How about gravity?
Gravity is not a force. It's not a thing.
So what?
It doesn't exist.
That's what you say.
No. That's what we can test. That's what we can test.
No, you can test for gravity.
So let's say.
Up or sideways.
Let's say, for example, we take two objects of mass, like a ball and a ball. So we want to test this idea of gravity. So we're going to take two large balls, one small ball, one large ball. So we're going to get the attraction to the larger mass, right?
Why not two of each?
It can be the same if you want. Doesn't matter. It can be the same, smaller. Because what we did one time, they took a mountain and a plumb bob or a pendulum, and that pendulum or plumb bob went to the mountain supposedly. Obviously, no one saw that. Yeah. That's just like an ancient story in the past, like someone wrote about. Obviously, to replicate that, you just got to get a room, make sure the variables are counted for.
That this phenomenon is a big problem in building tunnels in mountains.
No, you don't need a mountain. You just need a large vacuum chamber, right? You get one
big tunnel from the Switzerland to Italy, and they have big problems with the mountains, with the gravity field of the mountain. By building this tunnel.
That's what they say, they say that because it's such a large mass.
Take this in account to build this tunnel straight.
Yeah, I know, that's what they say. They say, because it's such a large mass. That's what they tell us,
you're saying you carry on, tell us about your test.
Yes, so they say with the mountain, it has a gravitational pull or something like that. But again, that's just an ancient story we haven't verified. So the only way to verify it would be to take a large vacuum chamber.
But first, give us your model, please, Kim.
How I would test.
Let him explain his test. Let him explain his test.
Yeah. If I was there, I would get a vacuum chamber, a large one. Get two objects hanging on like sensitive torsion bars and things like this, and try and observe a natural phenomenon, which would be mass attracting mass, right? I would have to eliminate magnetism, eliminate electricity, you know, that electrostatics, all that stuff, if possible. And obviously the atmosphere, the current, you know, the warm air rising, all that kind of things. We've got to eliminate all those things, and that's how I would prove that mass attracts mass. But why has that never been done?
You ever heard of the Cavendish experiment? That's exactly what they did.
What, in a vacuum chamber? Remember the variables, like the atmosphere that's moving, the warm air that's rising, could be a variable. The only way we'll know it's not.
Have you ever done this experiment without a vacuum chamber?
No, it's got to be in the vacuum because we've got to remove.
Have you ever done this?
Have I? No, that's just my theory. Right. If I was a baller, I'd have a theory of gravity, and my theory would be to put two objects of mass in a vacuum and see if there's an attraction. That would be my theory, and I would go about proving it.
Why does it need to be in a vacuum?
Because the atmosphere, the warm air is constantly rising, and
why can't you just do it in a room with constant temperature air and constant pressure?
It's not possible.
Sure it is.
Sure it's not. If the air's constantly rising, you can have a gradient, right? Cold at the top, warm at the bottom. Is the air
constantly rising in the room that you're in?
Air is constantly moving, isn't it? And if it's in a if it's in a sealed container, then obviously it's got trapped air.
If you stand up in the room you're in right now, is the air pushing you around?
The air's moving around right now. If I tried to,
is it pushing you around? I'm asking if it's pushing you, not if the air's moving.
If I was on a really sensitive skateboard, yes, it would move me. But I'm talking a super sensitive with the best bearings that you could buy, right? But the idea is, like I say, you get two objects of mass. You would try and show
Would it depress a spring? Would it push you? Would it depress you against the spring?
Well, again, depends on how sensitive I make it and stuff, and the sneakers.
Yeah, interesting.
Depends on the sneakers I'm wearing.
Okay, cool.
So, like I say, if we could have such an experiment in a vacuum, this would give us.
So, would you accept the Cavendish experiment in a vacuum?
Definitely.
Jim Baroni,
Definitely.
Do you think he ever tested being on a really sensitive skateboard and seeing if the wind moved him? Because I don't. He gave us his air.
No, I don't. But I think
he says we shouldn't be giving opinions.
He's also
I'm just theorizing,
that
dude.
he would accept the Cavendish experiment in a vacuum.
Don't hold my toes to the fire, Jim.
Done, and we've actually shown in the white papers for it and the results and the findings. And
there you go. So according to that, Chemo, you should accept gravity.
But the trouble is, even if we did that, even if we showed him a video, then the video would be either fake, or it's been cut, or there's a slight edit in it, or it's a Tuesday, or my mum's having a period. You know, whatever the fucking excuse for that week is.
There's another thought.
So, Jim, if you could show me the observation, the natural observation. I'll accept you man-made for now. Take a look at that. Man's made it. Doesn't matter to me. Some of the flat earthers won't accept this, but
why can't it be man-made?
I don't mind. I just want to see. I want to see.
Why is that something you're accepting? Why do you have to sign off on that?
Because if you can show mass attracted mass with all the variables accounted for, we're in business.
Cool. Sounds like Foolish Decisions says it's been done.
Don't listen to fools. Now look, if you can show me a demonstration of the observed phenomenon that is mass attracted mass, we're onto something huge. So if
people have shown this to you, Chemo, here in this room, Chemo. Don't pretend that you did not see that.
But
I'll put $1,000 on you, Jimbo, that you cannot find.
Sorry, I thought I was talking.
I was in the middle of replying to Jim Baroni here. So, Jim, if you can find the observed phenomenon.
Point to him. Litchwick responded. I was trying to respond to that. So, Jim Baroni, you actually responded to Jim Baroni already, and now you're
in the middle of what I'm saying here, Idris. I know you're upset, but look. You had a hot mic.
I'm not upset, Chemo, at all.
Got to let the conversation flow a little bit.
I'm saying that what you're saying isn't what history shows.
Well, let's find out. Let's Jim Baroni find that out, right? So, Jim, $1,000 your way. If you can show the observed phenomenon that is mass attracted mass in the confines of a vacuum, and then
I disagree. I don't think it needs to be in a vacuum.
Well, then we know what the variable caused. We know what caused it to move, then, right?
What variable? It's isobaric in the room that you're doing it in. There's no pressure gradient. There's no temperature change.
Yeah, there would be. Yeah, of course. If you're in a container, of course there would be.
Yeah, cool. So if all those things are constant, the only variable we're measuring is the
Go on then, show me one where they kept it.
change
All
in the
right,
angle
fine,
on the
fine,
torsion bar.
fine. Show me where they kept
We've
it.
isolated
Okay,
it.
fine. Show me where they did that. Isolate it and kept it constant.
It's the Cavendish experiment. It's been
Show
done.
me
It's
which
done
one.
in universities all the time.
All right. So let me see which one. Let me hold on, Jamie. Let me see which one. Post one that you say they controlled the temperature, controlled the room, everything. Yeah, and there was no movement at all. Let's have a look at that one. Outside of the vacuum. So let's just take it how you've said it. But it's got to be... Show me where they controlled the temperature, controlled the room's, atmosphere, making sure everything was controlled. Show me how they did the control.
I don't know. Most
you don't know.
Universities
Why would you just guess it and make it up?
Classrooms.
See?
What's that?
Why would you just guess that they controlled these things without actually verifying it?
Because that's like good scientific practice. That's what scientists do. It's the standard that they're held to.
Kimo, tell me how temperature works in a vacuum. Go.
How what, sorry? I didn't even hear what you said.
How temperature works in a vacuum.
Tell
How
us
do you measure
all
the
about,
temperature in a true vacuum?
Tell us all about what you don't know about temperature and vacuum.
No, he's saying everything's... Go ahead, Jeremy. Sorry.
So the point I was trying to make earlier on, Jim Brony, before I got really interrupted, was they did an experiment to say that relative density was the cause. And you know what? So they got a glass of water, they got an egg, and they kept adding salt to it. And then they concluded that the only possible cause could be the density of the medium. So the first question I asked the person that did this, was a guy called Sleeping Warrior, is you've changed the electrolytic properties of the water. How have you ruled that out? Can you show me your falsification process for that point?
Yeah, the only problem...
I'm familiar with Sleeping Warrior.
Yeah.
Right, the only problem with that...
Sorry, let me just finish my point, Jeremy. I'm going to be 2 more seconds. And then I said, there are hundreds or thousands of variables that you may not even think about. So this is why we don't say it's the actual cause. We say we have the probable cause in science. And this seems to be the point they seem to really miss.
Okay. So look, what we're looking for, Jim, and who else was it there today? We've had a few. We've got BT there. We've got Thumb. So obviously what we're looking for is the science, obviously, to back up your claim that the Earth is what you say it is. Now, a simple experiment for me is Cavendish. And if we can see Cavendish in the right circumstances where the variables are all accounted for, well, how would we explain, or how would I explain, this observed phenomenon, which we've never ever actually seen? Right?
Well, I'm looking for science to back up your claim. And I'm first asking for a model.
The next thing you've got to do is determine what's the constant temperature and what I guess level of change you're going to allow within your experiment. So if you say the pressure has to be constant, does it have to stay exactly the same the whole time? Can it change a couple of kPa? Can the temperature increase by a few degrees, or can it not change at all, or can it change by 0.1 of a degree? These are all things that need to be defined. And to determine the appropriate bounds you're going to put on these variables, you need to know what level of change is going to affect your experiment.
Yeah, there needs to be no change because...
Not possible. Not possible.
In a vacuum, yeah.
There's always going to be some change.
In a vacuum, you've removed the variable that would have caused the movement. So there's no...
Oh, but it wouldn't be a true vacuum though, Chemo, so that would probably be another...
It's never going to be a complete vacuum.
Yeah. So that's going to be your next problem, isn't it? Because
there's no such thing as a perfect experiment. You've just got to isolate the variables as best you can, and you've got to be in a situation where you can ensure that the level of change that's going to happen in your experiment is not going to significantly impact the result.
And you have seen that there was an experiment conducted with a Cavendish in a vacuum chamber. You've been shown the papers from that. Now, the fact we don't have a live video recording of it doesn't mean that it wasn't done, because we have evidence to say that it was.
I remember when percentage was jumping to that straw, that there are a few molecules back in the vacuum, right? But if he works like that in his all day life, then I really wonder. I mean, when he's taking a shower, right, and he's drying himself with a towel, right? But you can demonstrate that even when he's drying himself, he's not 100% dry. So would he continue to rub himself with a towel because of a little humidity, right? I mean, if he works like that, if he applies the same standards, then he's really in trouble, I would say.
Well, again,
so it sounds like you've been shown this before, Chemo.
What have you seen it before?
Me,
yeah.
personally?
I want to educate you. You have never seen the observed phenomenon that is mass attracting mass in a vacuum. You. I may have seen it, which I haven't. These might have seen it, which they haven't. But
No, I have seen mass attracting mass in a vacuum.
Go on, then let's have a look then. Let's have a look at that observed phenomenon.
Well, are you going to let me explain what I saw?
Yeah.
It was in a physics lecture where my professor created a vacuum tube and put a lead weight and a feather, both of them were in there, and then held up the tube, and then the items fell.
Mm-hmm. That's not mass attracting mass, dude. That's a different experiment.
Yes, it is, because it's the Earth attracting the lead weight and the feather.
No,
I've seen mass attracting mass.
That's not mass attracting mass, dude.
In a vacuum.
That's you're checking for objects falling at the same rate. Vacuum.
There you go. Evidence of mass attracting mass in a vacuum.
Why is it falling anyway?
So, what we're looking for, Jim, like I say, is that because that's what we deal with in science. As scientists, we look for and we see.
Are you saying we?
Yeah, because the flat earthers, we are like scientists. Some of us take it a lot more.
Just having education.
Because, like I say, what we look for, Jim Baroni, is a natural phenomena in the natural and physical world that need explanation. Okay, that are questionable. People are curious about. So if things fall, you take an object, it falls like an apple. Somebody might want to know, why did that happen? How did that happen? What's the cause? What's going on? We would explain to you and give you an experiment to obviously test it. Yeah. So I'm asking you, have you seen mass attracting mass, this observed phenomenon? So I can test it. Manipulate variables and find out what the cause to it is. You've got to see it first, right?
You can see, it's an observable phenomenon whenever you drop something.
No, I know that, but we've explained that. We have a test for that, so we know the cause of that.
You're asking if we've seen it. That's an example of that happening.
So the test they did was putting an egg in water and adding salt and making the egg float. So this is their cause. This is their reasoning for why things fall. Now, funny enough, when we say, hey, why down? Why the vector? Where's the vector constant?
Why doesn't it go up?
Exactly.
Or to the
They
side?
have no answer. Like normal flat earthers.
Yeah. Why? Why is it always down? Because if anything, if you hold a pen in space and you let it go, it's less dense all around the pen, right?
Mm. Yep. No specific gravity, without gravity, to be specific.
So again, what we're looking for, Jim Baroni, very key. We're looking for that observed natural phenomenon. Like I say, if something falls to the ground, people want to know why. We test that, find out why. We can manipulate density, make it change direction, whatever. We know that's old. But what we're looking for today is this idea that mass attracts mass. Okay, so you said you can show that in a vacuum chamber, and I said, well, if you could show it, pretty much onto a winner here. You've got your cause to the effect.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing from other people in the panel is you've been shown this exact thing and you rejected it.
I asked you about you. Have you seen it? So we can see it. What did you see? Not about me. It's about you've been lied to about the shape of the earth. I'm saying to you, have you been provided?
Assertion of a lie, yet he can't.
I'm saying, have you been provided?
So that's weird.
Have you been provided any science?
Put you on server mute, dude.
Have you been provided?
So you believe in a dome and a big ice wall that you can't go over, yet you can't prove that. You can't show this, touch it, do it, because, you can't go there. That's a bunch of crap.
You foolish, you dickhead.
You guys literally can't prove anything. We tear down anything you try to prove. We can tear it down in minutes.
This might be a stupid question, but I don't know whose side are you on, Jeremy? Because both sides say that all the time.
But I can see that you're kind of spiraling a little bit, Jim. I mean, what I also offer is chemotherapy a little bit. To get...
unmute Druss.
Yeah, I will in a minute.
No, not in a minute.
In a minute, yeah.
No.
Not telling you what to do.
Hey, you've been here doing that exact same thing for the last 2 hours.
Why are you telling me what to do?
Because you're being a dickhead.
No, he was interrupting me.
No, he wasn't. You've been interrupting everyone all night. Now, the moment Druss gets on, you mute him.
No, that's not what happened.
Yes, it is.
What are we doing? We're going to argue for half an hour then.
Can I be a mod?
There's no argument, mate. You are a dickhead.
Okay, fine.
Can I be a mod?
Hey, Lige, what's going on?
What's up, guys?
We should stop having a conversation with you if you're doing mod abuse.
Well, then stop having a conversation.
Yeah, just let other people talk. That's fine too.
Yeah, just be quiet. Because all we're trying to find out from Jim here and the other guys is we're looking for the science. We're looking for the proof. We're looking for the demonstrations.
Yes, I have a video. I put the video in the chat. Go to 110. 110 or a little bit less.
Okay.
And look close to it.
110.
Unmute Druss.
See now, look, Litwink. This is swinging. You see how it's swinging all over the place?
No, I told you to 110.
I'm watching it 110. Yeah, it's swinging all over the place. This is
go to 110, Chemo.
I'm looking at 110.
And look from this on. There's more, but not seen.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. No. There's way too much interference here. We could say the atmosphere is causing this, Litwink.
And go a little bit farther.
Litwink, cause and effect. Cause and effect.
111. Go to 111. It starts by 111.
What was the cause, Litwink?
Yeah, you're looking to this.
Well, anyway, I need to go make a quick cuppa.
It's a few seconds. It's few seconds to watch.
Hey, Lige, what's going on? Your mic is really, really quiet, by the way. You should turn it up a bit.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that right now.
Okay.
We can hear you now.
We can hear you, yeah, we can hear you. Anyway, just gonna make a quick call.
Elijah, what were you gonna say yesterday? Oh, I saw percentage on Fight the Flat Earth. The percentage did really good. Fight the Flat Earth needs some motherfucking extra dose of Adderall and shit.
He is on lots of medications.
He needs he needs like to OD on Adderall for real. My man's off the walls.
You got the link for that?
Oh, I don't. Just go to Fight the Flat. I'm driving right now. Just go to Fight the Flat Earth channel. It's like the it doesn't have his name, is it? Chemo or percentage's name in it, but it's the second one back, the second to last one. So I think it was called like Dumpster Fire or some shit show or something.
Jeremy, there's a video. It's even good for you. Go to 110 minutes.
For what?
It's about gravitational attraction.
I feel bad for that Fight the Flat Earth guy.
Very interesting, even to you.
He told me.
Go to 110. Also, if the first part look to the second part.
Oh, I better put myself on mute, guys, just in case Chemo thinks I've got a hot mic and mutes me yet again.
For crying out loud. It's like, can there be a day without just crying? Like, put the tears away, the crocodile tears.
If someone would stop being a dickhead, yes.
Yeah, or just get over it. You know, like, it wasn't personal. I'm sure Chemo wasn't like, he doesn't like.
No. Chemo generally hates me, Crit. It's not. It's
come
not.
on,
it is,
dude.
No. Seriously, Chemo with me, it's personal. He doesn't like me.
Well, give the teacher an apple. Try to change your like. Put some work in.
I've tried to be nice to him. I've tried to be reasonable. I've even said to him, I said, look, just speak to me like a human being. If you think I'm interrupting, saying, hey, Dross, you're interrupting, and I'll go, mate, and I've done it loads of times to demonstrate my point. But what he likes to do, because he knows it kind of annoys me, is I'll be halfway through a sentence and he'll just mute me. And he does.
Well, how about this one, right? If you know that he knows that you know that it bugs you when you put you on mute, don't let him know that.
Oh,
that's
no,
a way. That's how people would combat bullies. Like,
I totally agree.
Like in grade school, right? In grade school, someone said, "Hey, you wore green today, and that means you're horny." And if somebody got bothered by that, that would be something all the kids would say. You just pretend like, "Oh, well, I don't know what horny is, and I like the color green." And move on to somebody else. Okay, this is just basic wisdom that you should have learned on the playground.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the point you're making. I also think we're in the realm of being adults now, and I don't think if you've got a problem with someone and you don't say anything, then actually that's just as bad.
Yeah, I hear you there. You should.
It's about being direct.
But maybe
no, I agree. I mean, if we all acted like adults, this wouldn't be a problem. The fact that we've got one person in the room who wants to act like a child to try and
maybe try this though, instead of trying making drama out of it, because it actually is a bad showing at that point. Just send him a DM. Be like, hey, dude, we've had some disagreements in the past. I really don't like it if you mute me. Well, keep trying. It's still the living years, right? You still have, where there's life, there's a way. Chemo's here quite often.
I kind of agree with you. I tend not to be in the room too much when Chemo's around, because he does this, and he does it to really anybody whose arguments he can't actually combat and deal with. That's why he does it to me. He doesn't like the fact that I will hold his feet to the fire. When he makes a claim, I'll expect him to expose it, to demonstrate that claim is valid. And obviously that's what he doesn't want to do, because all he wants to do is gish gallop and talk a load of shit.
Well, this would also help you out for other relationships you have in real life. Like, if there's someone at work you don't agree with, if you're able to somehow get through, say, some stranger.
I'm a man in my 50s. I'm very experienced in dealing with problems and issues and contention. I agree with you. I don't have a problem with that. And it's not that this one example is indicative of how I live my life.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
At the same time, some people are just
cunts. But I appreciate the advice.
Yeah, I think it's like this.
And I take it in good grace.
This would be my take of it, because I believe in the electric universe, and that people have vibes and people have energy to them. And I think that you guys are probably very much alike. So the opposites attract and likes repel. So there's just something about your guys' energy and the energy you put out into the world that you're picking up on it, but you're not quite seeing it.
No. I mean, I would agree. If I met him, if we had a face-to-face real relationship, yeah, okay, I can see the energies affecting each other, etc. No, I dislike Chemo because he lies. He's dishonest. He's disingenuous. He's slimy, and he doesn't actually give a shit about anybody else in the world apart from him.
Yeah, but there's also energy.
And that's probably an overt view of it, but I judge people by their actions, not by their energy.
Okay, so are we talking about flat Earth now, or are we talking about Druss's issue? Let's think for a moment.
Yeah. It was a side conversation, but it's I'll give it to you later, Chemo, or Foolish, about the energy thing.
No, your secret. The difference here is that Chemo is very persistently a liar, and he never provides evidence for any of his claims.
Okay, I thought we're moving on from that now. Back to flat Earth.
Crit, just a minute. So engaging him is not about evidence or proving anything or providing evidence, because all he does is sea lion about it. No, engaging him is about exposing how dishonest he is, using his mods to steer the debate in a way so that he doesn't look like a complete idiot. And that is the real point. That is why it's pointed out. It's not about, oh, I shouldn't have. Oh no, it's not about that. It's about pointing out that he abused his mods yet again.
Okay, that's some serious gamma. So I'll just move on from that. Okay.
Go fuck yourself.
Okay, so now I'm. Yeah, that was me too. Thank you for the laugh. I always like starting the day with a smile on my face. It really carries forward.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, you're going to slammer the gamma. Oh.
But you know, I do appreciate that you're making these comments for good reason, for good intentions, and I appreciate that.
Oh shit, Dross is spiraling. Watch out.
Oh, I do. I spiral a lot, don't I?
I know, which is quite funny. Like
Oh my
you respond
gosh.
directly to someone like Whitson. It's like, oh, it's already spiraling. It's gamma spiraling. It's like, dude, I've said 3 words. How am I spiraling? Like,
Yeah, I don't like that. I really don't like that spiraling thing because a lot of times people mistake passion for just like out of control emotion.
Oh,
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's
passionate.
really-
I admit I'm passionate.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't deny that.
impressive. I really
beg to differ.
I enjoy a passionate speaker because it's something I don't have. I've never really been a very
Ooh.
passionate person.
Someone mute Dross. Mute Dross.
Well, I learned that passion having to speak up when being like during primary school, being one of the shortest person in the class. The only way you could see bigger is by having the louder voice.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's kind of a gamma comment too, dude. You're trying to make a comment about the short man's complex.
He is a short
well,
man. I think he's okay to comment on it.
Oh well,
Okay.
shit. When I was 7, I was like half a foot shorter than most of the people in the class.
Okay, Thon, you still here?
And now I'm average height.
And Jim Baroni is still here, yeah?
I mean, Crit, you was right to try and.
Gotta let the new guys have a speak. Go on.
Okay, you guys, Chemo's tried to get this back on track a few times.
Well, the new guys, they don't really speak very often.
Chemo's not an idiot. Chemo is on about the psychology of why people believe what they believe. But Foolish thinks that just because he's going to put some fancy words together and say experiment and we've proved this and these are contentious and this is enough for because he's brainwashed from the globe. He thinks that he should be able to sell these little fairy tale stories and then everyone should believe that this is the truth.
Because Boromir is brainwashed with absolutely no evidence to support his position, that's an indication that he's an idiot. I mean that's
Gas pressure vac container.
That's the kind of silly thing you're saying there. Yeah, atomic nuclear reactor.
Who's selling fairies?
How do you get gas pressure vac container? How do you get gas pressure vac container?
Sure, you can have ionized gas without a container, and we can pressurize it using magnetic force. No. Ionized gas, yeah.
Well, define a container. Like, do you mean a physical barrier?
Well, containment. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could probably have some invisible pseudo force called gravity being a container, but I think we can all agree that it can't be demonstrated.
No, but I want you to define a container because you're saying gas pressure without a container. I want you to explain what you think a container is.
A container is like a bucket, a cup, or a bucket with a lid, a bucket without a lid, a pipe with a lid, a pipe without a lid. It's an open container and a container, both being containers. A balloon is a container.
Right. So something with some set of physical barriers.
Chambers also
hang on.
Elijah, you might super low, mate.
Said an open container.
Turn up.
That's interesting.
Why does the gas? Why would a gas stay in a bucket?
Why would a gas stay in a bucket? We're here on Earth where we have gas pressure.
Well, because there's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza.
Dear Liza? Why would a gas sit in a bucket? That's a stupid question.
Well, because gas goes down, boom, boom.
Ross.
Well, hold on.
Come on.
You just said a container, like a bucket, could be open.
Do you think you've got me on a point here? Do you really think that I haven't thought this through, mate? Do you really think you've got something?
I'm trying to understand what you define a container to be because you're asking for an example that contradicts that. So I need to know exactly what you mean.
Oh no! Don't go down the bucket route. No, not the bucket.
So by you having a bucket and pouring some gas that's relating to the air around it, therefore gas goes down, go boom boom.
Boom.
Asked you to define what a container was. I don't know what gas go down, go boom boom means.
Well, I mean, just explain it to him properly
basically,
and just...
a bucket, an open container. What is a container? There's loads of forms of containers, mate. But usually, it's usually a physical containment. You're trying to. There is certain things like magnetic fields that can hold in certain plasmoids. But we're talking about gas being, to cause gas pressure. Something that can contain a gas enough to cause a pressure.
Yeah,
Okay?
and with magnetism, we can cause a pressure.
So what I'm trying to establish is, do you accept magnetism as a container or not?
I mean, I need to see that. Let's show me this magnetism working that causes gas pressure here on Earth that holds all the gas that we do experience.
Well, okay, no. You've changed the goalpost, right? Because you said you've asked for a gas pressure without a container, not show me what causes the pressure on Earth. Those are two different things.
Well, that's what's the contention here, mate. Obviously, if you want to.
Yeah, because that is slightly right, because one is atmospheric pressure and one is gas pressure in a container. Now, unless the globers are saying they're in a container and it's akin to being in a container, they're saying no. They're saying the atmosphere pressure is something else, right, guys?
The atmosphere is contained around the physical planet.
You think? Where's Jabroni? Yeah, Jim Brony. You think the atmosphere has weight? You said earlier on, yes, Jim Baroni.
I didn't say that earlier, but it's not something I disagree with.
Just explain your model, bro. Just explain your shit little model. It's fucking dead. The globe is dead, bro. Just don't.
Why is it dead? Why is it dead? Why is it dead?
Because you can't have gas pressure without a container. It shows you that you ain't living adjacent next to a vacuum.
No, he explained earlier on where the pressure comes from. He said weight. You said the atmosphere has weight. Yeah. Jim, you said it's on layers and it's weight, is what you said earlier.
No, I didn't say that before. I'd never said I disagree.
Oh, was that the other guy?
I wasn't the one saying that.
I said it.
Who said it?
Yeah.
Hot air rises, cold air drops back down again. That's being in the cold air. It spins out. As that keeps going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, nothing's caused that except for hot air, and it gets back down the ground. It gets hot, when it goes back up, it gets cold, comes back down, gets hot, comes back, and it keeps that going back and forth and back. There's nothing else causing it. But the difference is that when it's all down on Earth, it is higher. It's a lot more pressure, more condensed, because there's more layers of atmosphere above it.
So what you guys are saying, right, is that without something stopping it, right, gas will spread out in all directions. That's what you're saying.
Correct. Well, is that false or is that true?
No, that is true.
That is true. So that's what we're all saying. Gas spreads in all directions.
But what you will accept stopping it is different to what I will accept stopping it.
Well, what do you say stops it?
Gravity.
What is gravity?
Okay, so show that then. Show us gravity creating gas pressure.
It's really easy. You can do it for yourself right now. Pick up something and drop it.
Oh, that's apparently mass attracting mass.
It is.
But we're talking about gases, bro.
Gases have mass, mate.
Does it matter? Gases are independent molecules that are free to move in all directions.
That have mass as well.
Doesn't regardless whether it's got mass or not.
What do you mean regardless? What do you mean regardless?
I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to explain, but you keep talking over me.
Carry on.
So even if it does have mass, it's an independent molecule that is free to go in all directions, not having a downward bias. Thank you very much for being educated by me.
False. They do have a downward bias, though.
Well,
can you show that?
Can you
demonstrate
independent of replacement?
Can you demonstrate the downward bias of a gas molecule?
Yeah, the increased pressure, the lower you are.
Can you demonstrate gas pressure going down, going boom, boom?
Yeah, get a barometer and measure it where you are now, and then go really high up and measure it again. Why no? Why are you saying that?
That is not proving to me that a gas molecule is having an attraction down to the Earth. You're just saying we've got a gradient. That's not what I'm asking.
You show me Brummy should be given big boy pants.
No.
So we can take a big boy boom boom.
No.
Why is there a gradient then? Why is there a gradient?
Oh, that's because we're on a grading scale here, and I think the F class is in session.
Instruments are fucked up. Instruments have a downward bias, fooling us into thinking there's a gradient.
Yeah, it's instrumental for instruments to have that instrumental failing.
Welcome to Flat Earth, Kev.
Converging magnetic fields still affect instruments, yeah.
Don't like it here. Thank you, Tal. We needed that spiral.
I don't like it.
Wow, the spiral is real. You've even got Curve doing it now, Brummy. Good job.
We've got one of
Brummy.
It's
Gotta lay the baby down, go boom boom.
Truth, Earth is not a globe. It's not flat. It's rotini.
Ooh, Truth Earth. I like that.
10 degrees an hour.
I'm on board.
So Jabroni was just going. We have atmosphere, therefore gas goes down. Right? Look, we need you to demonstrate.
No, I said there's a measurable difference in pressure, lower versus higher,
Okay,
and that is evidence that suggests that there is a downward bias.
Let's recap, right? Let's recap. You says we know that gas goes down because I drop a brick, right? Because mass attracts mass. But then I conceded, yes, gas molecules may have mass because we can, wrap it in a solid and put it on a scale, or we can still understand that the molecule itself has got matter. Matter is made of mass. It might be a very small amount. We know that gases are independent. So then I postulate to you, right? This gas molecule is free to go in all directions. It doesn't have a downward vector.
Why? Sorry, let me know when you're done.
No worries. And then you go, atmosphere, barometers, like.
Okay, no. You just conceded, right? If I wrap up a gas and put it in a container, that I can measure the weight of it, right? You just said that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if gas doesn't have a downward bias, why does that happen?
Because you've contained the gas. You've wrapped it in a solid material. The solid material has certain.
But it doesn't have a downward bias, right? So why am I registering extra weight?
Are you talking over my explanation? So
No,
when you wrap the gas,
gibberish.
When you wrap the gas in a material such as a solid, container.
Mommy, can we distinguish between an explanation and gibberish, please?
No, let him explain.
Basically,
let him explain.
Basically, Jabroni here thinks that when you wrap a gas in a solid, therefore.
Jabroni, you can't explain this to Jabroni.
Okay,
You're
well, you can
gibbering.
get involved. Curve, don't you like the fact that I'm trying to re-educate him from his brainwashing?
Okay, so I'm measuring this on a scale,
Jabroni,
right?
I can't educate you in this room because there's too many people that will always get involved in the conversation when I bring you near.
Why has the number on the scale changed?
Because of gravity. Because you're wrapping it in a solid.
Exactly.
Mate. You're wrapping it in a solid. I understand your argument.
If I've got an empty gas bottle versus a full gas bottle, why is the number different?
Jimbroni, I understand your argument. You do realise that you saying that gas has weight does not mean it goes down.
That's exactly what it means.
No, it doesn't.
It seriously does.
So all right, let me ask you this.
Exactly what it means, man.
Okay, then explain this to me. Then, if you're so sure of yourself, then I'm going to ask you a question. Now, when you put a balloon inside of a vacuum, right, and then you take all the air out of that vacuum, what happens to the balloon?
It's going to expand.
And then what happens after the pressure exceeds what it can hold within that balloon?
Bro, I mean, your argument's bullshit. Show me a fact.
I haven't finished. I haven't finished. Jimbroni, what happens to the balloon? Jimbroni, what happens to the balloon? Jimbroni, what happens to the balloon? What happens to the balloon? What happens to it? What happens?
Does the container that the balloon's in weigh any different if the balloon does?
What happens to the balloon?
No,
Please
it
answer the
doesn't.
question. What happens to the balloon? And what happens after it expands?
It still weighs the same.
What happens when it pops?
It depends. Well, you've asserted that it pops. It doesn't have to pop.
What happens when you take the pressure down enough so the balloon pops? What happens when you pop the balloon? Let's go over that because you know you're wrong, right? Now I brought you to the answer.
No, because if you do that all on scales, if you do this all on scales, it's still going to weigh the same.
Hey, let him answer.
He's not answering. What happens to the air when it
You
pops?
keep interrupting him. He's trying to talk, and you keep going, oh, what if it pops? What if it pops? What if it pops?
When you
Just
pop the
give
balloon,
him
what
a
happens
minute.
to the air?
Question.
What happens to the air when you pop the balloon, Jimbroni?
It fills the space, but that's not evidence. That is not evidence that there's no gravity.
Hey, well done, Sonny Jim. Well done.
Brummy.
Welcome to Flat Earth. Toilets on the left.
Hey, Brummy, I got a question for you. I just watched a video where these helium-filled balloons were in a vacuum chamber, and as it was getting evacuated, the balloons fell. Why did that happen?
What's going on there?
Oh, right.
It's almost as if gravity was affecting them.
No. What you've done is you've took the medium outside and you've restrained the air inside the balloon.
But it should float, right?
The helium is heavier than the.
My brain's malfunctioning.
Jeez.
Yeah, that is apparent. That is definitely apparent. We'll give you a minute.
Spiraling. Guys, muting.
There was a malfunction somewhere. We just couldn't place it, But thanks for clarifying.
Look, I mean, you could look at it this way. You could look at it this way, like you've removed the air around it, and you've restrained the gas inside that balloon. You've removed the air around it. You've watched the behavior of gas in a balloon behave a certain way, and then you're going, oh, that's how gas behaves. But then when you pop the balloon and free the gas, it then reacts differently. So then, which one are you, as an honest person? Hold on. Which one of you, as an honest person, are going to take the information of how a gas works inside of a vacuum, inside of a balloon, or inside of a vacuum when it's free in its own state? Which one are you honestly going to take in?
I'm going to ask you a serious question.
You can answer my question, or you're not going to talk to me.
No, I don't know what I don't understand what you asked.
This is
Can you ask it again?
a clarification.
Out of the two behaviors of the gas in a balloon, one when it's inside the balloon, one when you pop the balloon, which one are you going to say that behaves in a certain environment? Which one are you going to take seriously?
Both
Gas
of those
wrapped
behaviors
in a
are the
balloon,
same.
gas wrapped in a balloon, or when you pop the balloon and let the gas free?
Yes, it isn't free. It says it's still inside the vacuum.
But it fills the vacuum, it fills the available space.
The gas has filled the balloon.
The gas is filled the available space. It can't go through the balloon because it's fucking trapped, you spastic.
Yeah, but it's filled the balloon, right? It's filled the available space inside the balloon, right?
Because you put it inside a solid material.
Works.
You put it inside a solid material. Think about it.
But hang on.
It's gas in a container, not gas in its natural state.
Brummy, you've had enough of the mic, mate. All right? You're just controlling this conversation too much.
So much
BC
anger.
is
Like, why
spiraling out
are
of
you
control,
angry?
And it's doing so on your watch, Chemo. What have you done? You've abdicated your responsibilities here.
I wouldn't say that. Really.
From it.
No, all Brummy's doing here is filibustering this guy, not giving him a chance to give us decent explanation.
He's doing much more than that.
For the record, I don't feel filibustered at all.
Thank you very much, mate. There's like four of them.
One day.
There's about four versus me. You've got Curve jumping on me. You've got Was jumping on me because I'm bringing you two. You said to me that gas has weight, which I can see.
Where the fuck is Was?
Hey, dum dum.
You sound like Was to me.
Hey,
you're
Brummy.
a fucking retard.
Brummy.
Well, you'll sound the same. You
the only serious point.
Look, keep heckling me, mate. Keep heckling. Keep heckling. Keep heckling.
Anyway,
see jabroni. They're all heckling
we were
me.
talking about the
balloon. If you want it,
and we were talking about the air inside the balloon,
so
and
much
whether
angst.
it had equal pressure in all directions. And you brought up the shape of the balloon. Do you remember that? When you blow up a balloon, like the shape of it?
Yeah. I remember you trying to get away from the point that I'm on the
wait,
so until I finish this point,
already
I ain't interested.
The point, Brummy. So anyway, you're
What
claiming
happens when you pop the balloon, Sonny Jim? What happens when you pop the balloon?
How?
Jim Brony, where's your gravity when you pop the balloon? Where is it gone?
Shut the fuck up, Brommy.
The shape of the balloon, the bulbous shape.
That's good.
It can appear like in some balloons that it's like larger at the top than at the bottom, so to speak. That's what you were referring to, right? Claiming that there was like a bias upwards because the top of the balloon would be like more bulbous, larger. Do you remember that, Brummy?
I remember that someone interrupted my comment.
Brummy, like I said, dude,
no. I'm not going to. I'm not going to allow you guys to take me away from Jim.
Well, then I'm going to make the point anyway without your acquiescence. Turn the balloon over. Now the larger side of the bulb is at the bottom, Brummy. Okay, now do you see how simple it is to defeat your stupid rebuttal to that?
So, what happens when you pop the balloon?
A quick, simple example.
Okay, I'm going to answer your question.
Stupid and wrong you are about everything, Brummy, but you persist as though you know what's going on, dude. You got to relax.
Pop the balloon, and what happens
then,
Jabroni?
I'm going to answer your question.
You don't know what you're on about, Brummy.
And then I'm going to ask you another one.
And then when Jabroni realizes that and stops taking you seriously, and everybody just makes fun of you.
What they're doing is they're trying to send you messages now. They're probably messaging you. I'm telling you what to say.
No one's messaging me.
Or you're probably going on Google trying to figure out something smart to say. But come on, let's hear what you got to say.
Okay, so all right, so the balloon pops, right? Why does the balloon pops and the gas expands, right? Why does the gas expand?
Because entropy will always increase. Entropy will always fill the available space.
So pressure-wise, in that vessel, what's happening?
So gas, you've got a vacuum above your head. If the gas is not contained,
No. In the box. In this box that we've got the balloon in, and we've got a vacuum, and then we've got a balloon of gas, and the balloon of gas pops, and the gas spreads out. What's happening pressure-wise in this box?
In what box?
In the box the balloon is in and popping in. What's happening?
That vacuum.
In that vacuum. So
it's
you've
filling
got
the
that
available
vacuum
space.
box.
It's filling the available space.
So pressure-wise, what happens? Like if we were to measure the pressure in the vacuum before the balloon popped, it's going to be like 0,
Different.
right? And then we're going to pop the balloon. What happens to the pressure?
Oh shit! It's no longer a vacuum, is it?
Of course, it's not a vacuum, though. It would fill.
Okay, it's not a vacuum, but what happens to the pressure?
vacuum.
The important question is what happens to the pressure? Like I'm talking to. Is it Brummy? I'm talking to Brummy about like what happens?
Well,
you think one has
the
a
pressure
hot
inside the
mic?
balloon will be very, very high, and then obviously when the air goes out there, the pressure would fucking decrease.
Yeah, okay, but so throughout the box, right? What's going to happen is the
Yeah.
pressure's going to equalize. Yeah, it's going to be uniform pressure throughout the box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it.
Because gas is going to want to try and find equilibrium. Yeah.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
Yeah, cool. So why is it that there is always a measurable difference in the pressure from the ground to high altitude?
Oh yeah, right. What I would want to do. What I would
Why
like to
doesn't
do,
that try and equalize? Why doesn't that try and equalize?
I'd like to see a demonstration of gas having a gradient inside of a vacuum.
Well, why don't you go and test it?
Well, why doesn't it
Hold on,
equalize? Is the question.
Hold on. What you're doing now is you're jumping back to the atmosphere again.
No, I'm
And
not. I'm asking you why it doesn't equalize.
I'm asking you to show me, demonstrate that it doesn't, that it has a gradient inside of a vacuum.
Whether or not it's in a vacuum is irrelevant. I'm asking you why it doesn't equalize.
Well, how do I know it doesn't equalize if you don't demonstrate it? You're just saying it.
Because there is always a measurable pressure gradient. If you go take one now, there'll be one.
Can you show me the gradient inside of a vacuum or not?
I'm not talking about inside of a vacuum. I'm talking about in the air around you now.
Okay. That's what's in contention. We're trying to demonstrate how you can have gas pressure about a container because the gas that we experience has to be contained. That's the logical deduction that we've come to. It's a necessary antecedent to have gas pressure on Earth. Now, when we're talking about the example of inside of a vacuum chamber, you're now going back to the atmosphere. How can we have a gradient? No, we're not. We're trying to demonstrate gas going down. Now gas has been proven not to go down. You're now going back to pointing outside again. This is not a laboratory.
Well, I'm asking you why it's different. I'm asking you why the pressure equalizes in this box uniformly, and why there is always a constant gradient between in life. Why there's a gradient. That's what I'm asking.
This is something I'm saving for a debate that I'm going to probably have in the future of explaining why we have a gradient inside of a container. It's not difficult to get your head around. It's very simple. There is reasons for it. But if all you're going to believe is that gas has a downward bias because it has mass, but then when brought to that conclusion,
It's not about what I believe. I'm asking you.
I'm not prepared to sit here and educate you on why we don't have an equal pressure in a contained system. But you can have a gradient. Hold on, you can have a gradient inside a container. That isn't something that's physically impossible. That doesn't defy physics. But what does defy physics is having gas pressure without a container.
Well, do you agree that there is a gradient in the world around us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So if you go really, really high and the pressure's really low, okay, but there's a gradient, at what point, like when you get really, really low and you're pretty much zero, right? What's the difference between that and no pressure, and a vacuum rather?
Right. What I've just explained to you, right? Having a gradient inside of a vacuum, inside of a container, doesn't defy physics. There is ways to have a gradient inside of a container. You want me to educate you and take you through step by step. Like I already said, I'll be having a debate soon, and I'll go through my full explanation in detail.
Wait, you want to hold on to your MO, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, but basically, in the day, we can both agree that it's not defined physics having a gradient inside of a container. That isn't that isn't like. But what does define physics? Hold on.
That's not what we're disagreeing on.
Hold on, bro. Well, you said that gas has weight and it should have an inherent dam. We've popped the balloon, the gas has gone up. You know, now you realise that should be enough for you to say, well, there must be a containment. Okay, you're not really accepting it. Then what you're doing then is you're whistling past that point.
No, because you're saying the gas goes up in a low pressure environment when it spreads out, right? That's not like pop the balloon when put air in a balloon when the net pressure around it is 0 and the air's not going to fly up, it's not going to rush around, it's not going to go anywhere. You've created a low pressure system in the middle of a high pressure system. That's because
it's contained.
Structure around it.
Because it's contained, bro.
Exactly.
Think about the vacuum that you make here on Earth. It's nowhere near compared to the vacuum of space. You're not getting to the 17 negative tour, are you? Inside.
Yeah, but vacuums don't suck.
Jim, he's about to strawman the fuck out of you right now.
I haven't watched it. No, what? See, they can't let the conversation flow. They need to get involved. You know what I mean? Because they know
holding this conversation for 6 fucking hours.
Brummy has a habit of sodomizing his straw men.
But what I realize is these guys in here, they're broken. They're never going to see the problems in the thing. People like yourself, then you might just get it. The gas doesn't have a downward bias.
The irony in that statement.
We already talked about how gas does have a downward bias. You just didn't
but then when you pop the balloon, and what happens? What happens when you pop the balloon?
When you pop the balloon in a low pressure system, relative to where it is, it spreads out. Absolutely, I agree.
Exactly, like the Earth inside of space.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have a downward bias.
No. So show me the downward bias.
I already told you about the downward bias. You can weigh gas.
Listen, you're spiraling right now. Think about what you're saying. Think what you're saying,
Jim,
right?
you need to ask him, does it spread out
in
infinitely?
Space now, right? Are we or are we not in a low inside apparent vacuum, a low pressurized system?
That's a non sequitur.
I'm asking him a question.
Doesn't matter what you I would argue yes, depending on where you draw the line.
Okay. Do we have gas pressure here on Earth on an open surface?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what is containing the gas and stopping it from entropy increasing and filling that space?
Gravity. The weight of the gas.
Can you show me gravity pulling down individual gas molecules?
Yeah.
How are you going to do that?
You can put your gas in a container, measure the mass of the gas in the container, take the gas out, and weigh the container again. You get 2 different values.
What happens? You need a container? That's my point. Thank you. Welcome to Flat Earth.
It's called isolating the system, buddy. Jesus Christ.
It's called a container.
Why is the value different? Why is the value different?
Show it in a container.
Jim.
What's wrong with you
Brummy,
guys?
Balloon in a vacuum chamber, Brummy. Balloon. No, balloon in a vacuum chamber, Brummy.
Hang on.
Brummy, balloon in a vacuum chamber.
Just stop. You just hung on that word container because he put it in something to be able to weigh it. But the only thing you stuck on there was fucking container, not the object of what he was doing. You are the shittest person when it comes to a thought experiment.
But this is
Brummy, why is the weight
a red herring. No, this is a red herring because nobody's asking about the weight of gases, right?
Yes, they are,
because you're saying it's caused by the gravity. Meanwhile, you're supposed to be demonstrating that gravity contains gas.
Well, he's saying demonstrate the gas has a downward bias, and I'm saying the increased force on a set of scales when you've got gas in a bottle versus, like an empty bottle, right? If there's an increased force on the scale, that's the downward bias he's asking for.
She's showing what happens with methane.
Can't
you
do
understand
that
that you're correct, right?
And you can't do it with a container. And what happens when you pop the balloon? It goes in all directions. Never been on the scale again.
Balloon.
Put a scale inside of a vacuum.
I mean, it's pretty difficult to weigh. It's pretty difficult to weigh water without a cup.
Listen. Pop the balloon. Listen. What do you think is going to happen when you put a scale inside of a vacuum, put a balloon on top of it, registering your weight, and then you pop the balloon? What's going to happen?
Jim,
is the scale going to register your weight still? Is the scale going to register your weight still? You fucking retard.
You understand that you're correct, right?
Yeah, I'm fully aware.
And you understand
You
that
think,
Brummy
yeah,
is
you
wrong,
think
right?
you're correct, but you can't even
Oh,
fucking
he's
weigh
getting
gas.
grabbed. Yeah,
Wait,
he's
wait.
getting grappled right
Jim,
now.
Jim, you
Yeah,
understand
you're
that Brummy
correct,
is
man.
incorrect, right?
Yeah.
All right, now,
Yeah.
what I want to know is,
Oh,
are
he's
you
being
expecting
sodomized. Oh my
that at
goodness.
some point Brummy's going to realize and admit that he's incorrect?
No, not at all.
good.
What's it like?
No,
What's it like
good.
getting stroked
I'm
by
not trying
Curve?
to change
Curve
what you're
stroking you.
doing.
Curve
I'm
stroking you
trying to
now. Curve
understand what
stroking
you're
you now.
doing. Brummy,
He's
give me the
brainwashed
goddamn
No,
brush
I'm
for a
aware.
second.
This isn't for him. This is for anybody else that's listening that may be on the fence. I am fully aware Brummy's not going to change his mind.
Oh, that one. Okay. I mean, carry on with it, but there's nobody listening on the fence that this is going to.
All right, look. This is the problem you've got here. You said that you put
I'm
gas in a
just trying to figure
container.
out the objective. I don't know why
put
you're
the
not
gas in a
just making
container.
fun of Brummy for what an idiot he is.
You're putting gas in a container.
We
it on
all
the
know
scale,
that you're right. We all know that he's wrong.
What happens
I think
when
Brummy
you
even knows that he's wrong. To be honest
Listen,
with you.
Yeah,
Curve
he
can't
just
handle it
keeps
now.
talking because he's
Well,
spiraling.
Brummy,
That's the
Brummy,
problem.
can I ask you? Can I ask you
That's not even
a similar
arguable.
question, right? If you've got water, right, and you've got a cup of water, and
No, see how no
you
one's
put
talking
that
over
on a
you,
scale.
Jimbroni. See how no one's talking over you now because you're pushing the narrative now. So they'll allow you to ask me questions. But when I try to see now when I talk, you see when I talk, see what happens.
You
they're
have
trying to.
talk.
This is what's called condimuting.
You haven't.
This is what's called condimuting.
It's all right, everyone.
If we can have a conversation another place and another time. I can't get my point across here because these goons here won't allow it.
You've got your point across. You've been getting your point across for 6 hours. Brummy, I've been to bed. You were making this exact same point before I went to bed. I've got up, you're still making the same point. It's idiotic.
Was he making the
Really
same point
idiotic.
to this guy?
Well,
was he making the same point to this guy?
Who cares? It's just what we hear all day long that gas suddenly doesn't weigh anything, and
then it's a red herring because you just took.
Shut up! And if somebody has to use a container to weigh it, that somehow means the Earth's flat. It's idiotic.
No, it means that a gas needs.
Listen, no, hold on. Listen, you just took away.
Listen,
you just took
I'll
away
tell you what,
his ability to debate someone new because you're tired of listening to him.
Yes. Absolutely bored stiff of it. The same thing over and over again. Oh, you need a container. Ha ha, welcome to Flat Earth. It's idiotic, moronic nonsense. If what you're saying is true in
Jim,
any way...
why don't you just leave? Hey, Jim, why don't you just leave if you don't want to hear
Because I've got something to say. I'm making my point. And my
you want to
point
shut
is,
down the
and my point is, if you morons can establish any of this bullshit to be true, go ahead. Oh no, that doesn't work, does it? Because what you want to do is sit here all day saying, you prove things to me. Show me, demonstrate it. And I'll just blab Nathan Oakley's bollocks all day long, and somehow that will be a win. That's it. That's all I've got to say.
No worries. But I mean, so you put gas in a container, you put it on the scale, it weighs something.
Just go fuck up. Just go straight back to blabbing the same old crap. What's the point?
Brummy, I got another question for you, right?
So you guys are gonna just straight up stop the conversation.
Well, I'm just gonna point out that it would be nice if it went somewhere.
But you have
pointed that out.
And I think you guys are hell-bent on it absolutely going nowhere. I think you should take that into
answering the question and you're trying
Okay, so tell me about your plans for advancing the flat Earth idea in 2021. What are you going to do? What are you going to? So the idea. Oh, it's a distraction. I see. So the idea is not to advance the flat Earth idea. That's a distraction.
Now you're strawmanning me because you're trying to divert from the conversation that Brummy was having with the young man.
He's been having his conversation. Hours. Yes, I am trying to distract from a conversation that's been going on for 6 hours. I'm bored of it. Now then, tell me
So
about.
he's been talking to him for 6 hours. Are you saying?
Now then, tell me about your plans for advancing the flat Earth idea in 2021. Let's hear.
Before we move forward, are you saying that he was talking to him for 6 hours?
Apart from having the same endless circular arguments over and over again in the Discord. Is that
if you were sleeping, Jim? How could you be
Before we move on, are you saying he was talking to him for 6 hours?
No, that's irrelevant. Why?
No, it's not. It's not irrelevant. You're trying to make my point. You taking this particular debate with this individual away from Brummy, and you're saying he's been talking for 6 hours. I'm asking you, has he been talking to this individual? No, he has not.
You're getting fucking muted.
Oh.
What?
I said, if you don't say anything interesting in the next 10 seconds, you're getting muted.
I don't have anything interesting to say.
Right,
Other than you took the conversation away from him.
Yes! I'm bored of that conversation. Now then, what are your plans for advancing the flat Earth idea? Or is that just a distraction?
I mean, I'm trying to make a straight line. We're trying to do experiments and shit. What do you want, Jem?
Yeah, but are you? Or are you just sitting in Discords pretending that gas doesn't weigh anything?
We're brainstorming.
Yeah, where's your
on it.
straight line, Jeremy?
Do you have any ideas on anything that works in only a straight line?
Have you started to go find me for the funds to do your straight line yet,
We
Jeremy?
don't even know
You
what
better
it
hope
is.
Jim doesn't get bored of that. He'll shut that conversation down
We
too.
don't even know what it is.
Talk about how gas doesn't weigh anything for another fucking 6 hours. It does, you're fucking wrong, and you're stupid.
No one said gas doesn't weigh anything. We just say it needs a
Brummy
container
did.
to be weighed.
Brummy did.
They all admitted that before. I don't. What are they backpedaling on it now?
That's nonsense. There are plenty of examples where it is not contained. There's no evidence of any container whatsoever. There's a mountain of evidence that says there is no container. You are making shit up. You're living in some idiotic fantasy world that Nathan Oakley has created for you. This is not true. It's not a true thing. You are wrong.
Weigh one thing without a container. One gas.
What?
Show one gas being weighed.
I'm not required to show anything.
You
can
just
look
claim
at
it and no proof.
Look at the sun. Look at Jupiter. Gas without a container. Very simple. Job done. How's that funny? Tell me how that's funny. Let's hear what the amusing part of that
You don't even know
is.
if it's a gas, much less.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We've said. Yes, I do. It looks like a gas. It moves like a gas. We've said probes there that have shown us it's a gas.
Right. Looks
Yes,
like a gas.
right. Yes,
Smells
right.
like a gas. It says
Yeah,
that no
yeah.
one's been there to
Everything
see
about it tells us
or
it's
to
a gas.
smell it.
Same with the sun. We know it's a gas. We know
Bored
there are
now?
gases involved.
You bored now? Or you want to talk about gas without a container some more? Why don't you go back to sleep, old man?
See, the sun and Jupiter are a bit too much for you, were they? They don't allow you.
I think it's hilarious.
They don't allow you. They don't allow you to engage in some endless conversation where you keep demanding, that people show you, where you keep demanding that people show you things without a container, and then you say, "Ha, that's got a container. Welcome to Flat Earth."
That's only showing me how you
Explain
live in a fantasy
fucking
world.
Jupiter and explain the fucking sun. Where's the fucking containers? Where are they? Where are the containers? They're on telly.
Listen to him spiraling, man. He won't even let me answer one word. He started.
You talked all over me. You haven't stopped talking for the last 8 sentences. You've talked throughout every single one of them. So shut up. Go ahead. Argue about stupid gas without a container.
Argue about your
See
fantasy world that
see
you
where
can't
it
go
gets
to.
you.
And argue. Your only proof is your fantasy land up in the sky. You cannot show a gas being weighed here on
Stuff I
Earth
can
without a
see with
container.
my own eyes isn't a fantasy land. It's stuff I can see with my own eyes. Stuff Nathan Oakley told you is true. Stuff Nathan Oakley has told you is true, and it just must be true because Nathan Oakley said that's fantasy.
I don't know where you're getting at, but you can make that up and straw man the shit out of everybody.
It's this fucking stupid dumb argument. Everything that you guys say about it is Nathan Oakley. It's what Nathan Oakley. It's what Nathan Oakley told you to say.
You think if you call enough people stupid, you'll actually be smart. That's not how it works, Jim. You'll always be this guy if you don't wake up.
No, you'll always be dumb. That's the thing, Rakia.
Be clever enough to see through this silliness.
I see right through you.
Rakia, you're a two-faced prick. Right, I've seen how you act on Jose. Listen, I've seen how you act on Jose's, and then you come in here and act the complete opposite.
What are you talking about? I'll give Jose the same shit when he does his act.
You're please, sir, yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir.
Jim deserves everything he gets when he calls somebody stupid.
So you come into his server and treat him like shit.
Jim's no better than me. Jim's no better than you.
This isn't my server, it's his.
Yeah, and?
Right, it's like you walking into my house and treating me like shit.
Not
they're not treating me like shit. I've shouted at them, but it's just annoying. It's just frustrating to hear it just go round and round and round in these idiotic circles that just get nowhere.
What do you expect? To create a server to talk about flat Earth and more, and have people not come in here and want to talk about flat Earth and more?
Well, but we never get to the and more bit.
No, there isn't really much more anymore. It's just gas pressure without a container all fucking day long, or I don't know. What's the other?
Shut it down, man.
Or alternatively to shutting the server down, we can talk about something else. How about that? For a revolutionary fucking idea.
Until you get tired of that and shut people up.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Good job, man. I'm sure you'll be successful at that.
You don't have to be here.
It seems to be what you're good at.
Racky, you don't have to be here. If you don't like it, you could fuck right off.
Neither does Jim. I was here because I was enjoying the conversation until Jim got here.
Establish some of what you believe to be true in some way other than making some logical inference that Nathan Oakley told you to say. Show me what the evidence is for this fucking container. The direct evidence for a container.
I don't give a shit about that, actually.
Oh, of course you don't. The entire argument is there must be a container, but when I ask you for evidence of the container, I don't give a shit about the container.
No, what I'm saying is that's not why I was here. I'm not here for Nathan Oakley. I'm not here for you. I was here for the conversation.
And the conversation is about the fucking container. So where is this container?
Yeah, and I was enjoying, while I was at work, listening to the conversation until you, the server owner, who invites people to come talk about these subjects, came in here and shut it down.
Because I hold about how this same conversation has been going on for 6 hours. So
that's like owning a restaurant and having a guy come in there.
So I'm sorry if you missed part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10.
Yeah,
but,
whatever.
Now we've got to 11. Maybe it's time to move things on a bit.
So you have a new audience now. I just got here. Why are you shutting it down?
What do you mean, new audience? I've been in and out of this for 6 hours, right? I've changed.
Take a break.
Listen, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
right?
go eat some lunch, man. But don't go to the restaurant Jim owns and order the same thing over and over again. Because he'll take it off the menu.
Yeah, you remind me. I used to get this when I worked in nightclubs. We'd play some really popular tune, and then some bird would come up and say, "Will you play that really popular tune?" And we'd say, "We've just played it." And they'd say, "But I just got here." Like, oh, all right, we'll just play the same thing again then, because you arrived.
You know, I go to this Mexican restaurant 2 or 3 times a week, and I order the same thing. If you own that restaurant, you would take that off the menu.
If you go to the cinema late, you ask them to roll it back.
That's why you're not successful, Jim. That's why your restaurant will fail. That's why your server is
watching
failing.
old trailers. Jim, he just watches trailers.
Do you? I don't think that's true.
No, that's why your restaurant would fail. That's why anything you own is going to fail, because you can't satisfy your customers. You come in here and shut what the customer wants down.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I represent all of my customers, though, Rakia, or maybe you don't.
I get it. I get it. It's a tough job.
He just explained what I've done over the last 6 hours,
mate.
mate.
Shut
right?
down 2 of your customers.
Hey,
3 or 4
Rakia, can you stop for a second? I want to explain something to Jem.
I would have let them go back to it, but you've gone on and on and on about it endlessly, haven't you? Moaning on about what a terrible, terrible person I am.
You're going to tell me what nothing I am and then tell me I have control over what you do? How stupid is that? That's double speak, man.
Didn't say any of that. You just made all that up.
You said I went on and on, so now you're not going to do
Yes, you are, because
you're not do anything to you.
But you're not doing it to me. You're not doing it to me. You're having a conversation about it in this room.
I'm in full control, Jim, whether you know it or not. Full control. I'm not the one spiraling. I'm not the one stuttering and spiraling off on my own server.
Well, I'll make it easier. There you go. Back to the conversation then, guys.
Excellent. But Jem, as I was trying to explain to you, so I've been doing some testing. I wanted to test an air cooler against my AIO and temperature variances in my computer. Every time I've put my computer back on, I've dropped in here to have a listen. What the fuck do I hear? Brummy in his fucking container. Right? I'll swap out the air cooler for the AIO. I get back on here. Brummy in his fucking container. Oh, fuck's sake. Shut the fuck up about the container. Go out and prove it.
So you take time filibustering until you just claim.
The challenge is I want a picture of a flat earther standing next to this fucking dome that they say is there, leaning up against the thing, standing on top of the ice wall. I'll believe it then.
Somebody else take a picture of him taking the picture?
Well, as long as there's a string of pictures being taken of the picture being taken, yes. Because, that's what they always want.
Yeah, but we also need a live stream of the video of the picture being taken by the picture being taken.
But seriously, though, don't you guys think that you should want and have, by now at least, but at least want more than just this logical inference that this container exists?
With no evidence for it. Apart from what we do locally on the ground.
I mean, just insisting that there's a container there that is completely undetectable by any physical means, doesn't that bother you somewhat? That we're just going to go with it because Nathan Oakley said it was there.
Yeah, and there, Sean G said it correctly. It's contained. It's not a container.
It's
words.
Nobody's interested in answering now.
Well, because
I thought you wanted to change the subject, and now you're still talking about it, the container.
Oh no, it's about the lack of the flat Earth. Show me this, show me that. Why don't you go out and show us how we're wrong? That would be appropriate.
It's a different approach to the same argument, Jeremy. So it's probably, maybe it's a good compromise. We're still talking about gas pressure without a container, but we're not doing the whole going round and round and round in circles. Show me the container. Oh, that's got a container. Welcome to flat Earth thing. So, any evidence at all for this container? Do we have any reason to believe it exists other than Nathan Oakley said it does?
Other than you can't have gas pressure without a container? No.
Oh
so
my
it's
God.
just the logical inference that Nathan Oakley told you to say. That's it. You haven't got...
Well
and you're happy with that. Nathan Oakley said it. Doesn't matter if it's completely undetectable by any physical means. Doesn't matter that no human ever has come across any evidence of this container. We're still going to insist it's there.
Well, we have the definition of gas pressure.
Jeremy, why are you being a parrot?
But you live in a world, Jeremy, where all this, the whole gas pressure without a container thing, all that's explained. We have an explanation for that. There's no violation of the second law of thermodynamics. That's all just some nonsense that Nathan made up. None of that's true. In our world, nobody thinks that. No actual people think that. So I don't see that as a very strong argument that you're making. We have an explanation. It's gravity. That's what makes the air go down and boom boom or whatever it is. We don't need anything more than that. It's explained. It's very comprehensive, the explanation. And just having this argument about you need a container is irrelevant. Okay, so what? The practicalities of weighing gases mean there isn't a practical way for us to do it without a container. This is also true of liquids. Doesn't mean that liquids don't weigh anything, or that they aren't affected by gravity, or that there has to be some lid over the ocean or something. So I think you need more than this, because in my world, your arguments don't work. In my world, it is not a violation of the second law of thermodynamics.
And they keep confusing gas pressure with atmospheric pressure, Jem. I keep listening to them with this gas pressure without a container shit. I was like, well, cool, that's great. What we've got, surrounding us right now is the atmosphere. It's not fucking gas pressure. It's the the oxygen being held to Earth by gravity. It's not gas pressure. It's atmospheric pressure with a gradient.
It's the weight of the atmosphere.
That's just stupid. So you're saying it's not gas under pressure?
Well, Jeremy, okay, just picture this.
A really good point before when he was saying, why doesn't it equalize when you get closer to what the apparent top of the dome is? It doesn't. You've got a gradient of 14.7 up to 0 at the calm line. Why does that happen?
Does the gas in a sealed container equalize?
Not if you have gravity. Without gravity, unless
it was a closed question, closed question.
Unless you want to invoke gravity, no, there will be no gradient. There will be no gradient. There will be no gradient in a container without gravity.
When no gas equalizes.
Oh no, that's not trying.
Gas pressure, bitch.
If we take the gas into space, then there is no. So why are you so triggered, dude? Why are you angry?
He's spiraling, bro. He's gamma spiraling.
You guys are being fucking retards. It's gas
Jeremy,
pressure. Why are you trying to tap dance
Here's a quick question. Okay, I've explained this to someone. Hey, Jeremy, calm your farm. Calm your fucking farm, dude. Like, have you ever used like charcoal or a pencil and shaded from dark to light until it goes back to the white of the paper? Have you ever done that?
It's racist.
Right? That's exactly the same thing as what happens in our atmosphere. Exact same thing. It goes from heaviest at the bottom to fuck all at the top.
Okay, where does that not happen? Does it happen in sealed containers?
Not really, no, not in the way that we've done it in our atmosphere. Actually, Jeremy, hold on. Jeremy, let me finish. Let me fucking finish my point.
Double speak, you guys spew
Jeremy,
out of your mouth
calm
like
down.
shit is fucking
Calm
amazing.
down. Take
What
your
double speak did I say?
Calm down. Okay.
Fuck
So the
that.
problem I've got,
Fuck
I'm
that,
still trying to get my point out, and you're over talking with Jeremy.
Your
Calm down.
point is double speaking bullshit.
Calm down.
Wow, someone needs some medication.
So the problem I've got with your example is if we're looking at the ideal gas law or Boyle's law and that kind of shit, the component that gives us any form of gradation in it is the little g, the gravity component. So if you do not have the gravity component, there is no layering. We demonstrate that. We demonstrate that when we're in space. We demonstrate that when objects are in free fall. There will be no gradient in that particular object. And that has, again, we've seen that and that's been tested. So I don't know why you have a problem. If you want a gradient, you need fucking gravity. No gravity, no fucking gradient. It's a necessary antecedent, as I believe Nathan Oakley would say.
I need to make a quick point to Jeremy when Jeremy's calm enough to listen.
I think he's got a slot
Are you
available
there,
next
Jeremy?
Tuesday.
What's up?
What's up?
Jeremy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, well, I'm having trouble hearing you. You're awfully quiet for me, but I heard you.
You can't hear me?
And that's a little better. I just want to say this. I am not telling you that the gradient can't happen in a container and that the gradient proves that we don't have a dome per se the way you guys do. My only point with the gradient is it eliminates the need for this container and falsifies your claim of the flat earth side that you can't have gas pressure without a container. The gradient shows you that you don't need that dome. It's not meant to say it's not there. it's meant to show it's not necessary to postpone your claim. Do you get that? At least I'm speaking only for myself.
100%.
Do you get that, Jeremy?
You said because there's the gradient, it makes the need for a dome unnecessary.
Yes.
Yeah, the gradient eliminates the need for the dome. The way that you
You
guys
need
try to
only
point, yes.
a wall around the flat Earth, not a ceiling.
Yeah, he's saying that the gradient is the container.
Oh crap! Is that Litchwink?
Well, the
I
gradient
said you only need
is
a
a
flat
result
wall
of
around
the
the flat
force
Earth.
that
You don't
creates
need a ceiling.
that contains the gas. That's the result of it. Too many people are talking too quietly now. I gotta adjust something.
Okay, what triggers me is when people start going against their own paradigm. Like when Davros or Cypher just said there's not a gradient in a sealed container, and you guys argue with me endlessly for hours that there is a gradient in a sealed container.
Well, Davros is wrong.
All right. Well,
I did
one
not
thing
say that.
There's a level of potentry here.
Yeah, I don't remember saying that either.
Jeremy just strawmanned the fuck out of us.
I have a question. I have a question
I
for.
asked you.
I have a
I
question
asked you
for.
if there was.
I have a question for Chemo and. Hang on. I have a question for Chemo and Jeremy. What do we say makes this gradient? Jeremy, your turn.
The weight. Yeah, it all boils down to gravity. So what?
Okay, so there's no reason for you to say double speak. There's no reason for you to say we said this or that. You do understand what we are explaining over and over and over again. So there's no reason to say differently. That is the argument.
Would you say that
show different. Now show different.
What? No, what got me mad with the double speak was him saying, or maybe it's not double speak, but him saying it's not gas pressure, it's atmosphere because there's a gradient. When there's a gradient in every fucking sealed container, according to you guys. So what would make that gas? Why are we calling anything gas pressure? Why isn't it all atmosphere?
What about if it's perfectly even throughout the container? Like it's a perfectly full LPG or propane container.
You guys want to take care of this or no?
Right. I'm asking you, Jeremy.
Do you guys want to take care of this or no, Moyak?
I'm asking you. Why are you afraid of this question?
I agree with you. I agree with you, and I don't think there is a gradient in that container. However, I think a lot of your people would like to have a word with you, but they're just not speaking up. They're being
Hang on.
bitches.
Why would they want to have a word with me about a fucking question I asked of you?
Because they're being bitches.
I was reading and typing. Give me a concise summary, very briefly, Jeremy, of what it is you're bitching about.
There's no gas pressure gradient in sealed containers, apparently.
There is. How pedantic are we getting? And what size is the container? What are the
very
conditions?
minute?
Is it a D size cylinder, an E size cylinder, or what are we dealing with here?
You might want to take a look into learning about language, Jeremy.
I have a for Jeremy, and I'm gonna I don't talk much, but just one question. If I went over to Dubai where they have those really tall buildings and I put a tube in the building all the way up the elevator shaft, just a pipe, and I sealed that thing and I put any gas in it, do you think that at every floor I put a pressure gauge and I would I have a pressure difference from the top of the tube to the bottom of the tube?
If you had the whole tube the same pressure and it was like helium at room temperature?
Right. I just threw helium.
Yeah, there's not gonna. No gradient. No
tube
gradient.
A different gradient than the top.
No.
I think it
If it's all the
depends on what
same
pressure
temperature,
the vessel's
if it's
at.
all the same. Yeah. What pressure are you gonna put it at?
What
What do we do? 14.7 psi.
Oh,
Yeah,
one atmosphere.
Yeah, one atmosphere. I could take the tube and just seal it. You know what I mean? Separate it from the atmosphere that's out here. Just seal it. And every floor, take a measurement of the pressure in that thing.
Do you have the? Do you have a record of this, or is this some kind of thought experiment?
At the moment, it's a thought experiment. I don't own the building over in.
I mean, I have a test, but you won't accept it because you're a moron. The test was.
Are you gonna make? Are you gonna make a whole
Let me
container
do
the
this
same
exact
pressure?
test with the open pipe.
I have a test where I can do it with the tube. I've done it with the tube. I've sealed the tube up with the thermometer inside, and that tube or that pressure inside of the tube remained, or actually had a gradient in it.
Why
Jack,
don't
you
we
don't like
just?
that because it was air and it has 3 homogeneous gases in it. It has
It's
3
gonna
gases
get
that are
thrown
homogeneous.
out because they're gonna bring up blue marble.
This is sealed container, a sealed container with air.
Well, has
Jeremy
anyone?
Jeremy refused to accept this thought experiment unless it had actually been demonstrated, and yet he was able to draw. And yet he was able to draw the conclusion that in this thought experiment there would be no gradient without it being demonstrated.
Yeah,
So
I don't think there's a it's a thought experiment. I don't think there's going to be a gradient.
Okay.
So what?
Well, because he said, I do think there's going to be a gradient, and then you insisted that it was demonstrated. It seems like you're able to draw the conclusion there wouldn't be one without a demonstration, but you're not able to draw the conclusion that there would be one.
Well, Jem, does gas move randomly in all
Oh,
directions?
come on.
Does
The answer is,
it?
look,
It does?
the atmosphere is affected by gravity. If you want to
No, this
pretend
one
it doesn't,
gas-
because Nathan Oakley told you that was a good argument, you can, but it is. So
Jem, the one gas, the single gas helium inside the sealed container, all at the same temperature. Does it all move
I don't
randomly?
care. I have no idea. I don't care. It's irrelevant to what the atmosphere does.
Jeremy, let's change the gas.
It's relevant.
How
It's
he-
relevant to what's
How
it's relevant
helium
to what we were
behaves
talking
in a
about
sealed.
with-
How helium behaves in a sealed container is irrelevant to how the atmosphere behaves on Earth. Pretending
Right,
that,
but it's
that
relevant
one
to
is
the thing we were
analogous to the other is silly. That's not true. Anyone
Jeremy,
can.
how much helium is in our atmosphere, mate?
Helium.
How much helium is in our atmosphere?
What kind of helium?
Well, I
Is it
hope it's not
4He?
helium-4, because then we're fucked.
No, 4He, 4He.
I'm sorry, we don't live in helium, so we should test the air because we live
They
in
say
air.
4He is how you get a perfect sphere.
But I want to know: are you not bothered if you are living in a reality where you insist this container exists? All according to you, the laws of physics demand the existence of this container, and yet this container cannot be detected by any physical means. Does this contradiction not worry you at all?
No, I'm not worried.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not worried.
Just Nathan Oakley makes a good argument.
I wouldn't even.
Nathan
Hold on,
Oakley
I
makes a
wouldn't
good
even-
argument
hold
for
on a second.
something, and that's got to be true in reality. Even though reality denies this to you,
Yeah.
you still think that that's worth arguing.
Hey, can I tap in on that one real quick? I can
Go
answer
ahead.
that.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So what the problem here is just trying to use deny natural law, deny the laws of physics, so you can try to not you. I'm just talking about person, right? Not directed at the Jam Panda here. The
Right.
person is trying to deny the laws of physics to say, yes, you cannot see or detect the firmament inside the scope of the supernatural. This thing was
I
described.
don't believe that it hasn't. I don't believe that it hasn't been detected. I think they're hiding it in Antarctica.
Yeah, there could be lots of other reasons here, but the top thing is that science cannot be used to adjudicate cause and effect of the supernatural. The Bible, you've got the von Braun's headstone directly references a firmament. When they faked the lunar mission, they describe the firmament. These ideas that somehow there can be things that are beyond the scope of natural. Some people call it artificial or whatever, be created. That exists even if someone wants to, deny it. Like, this idea, show me the... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry if I was going too
Well,
long.
Von Braun's headstone only works if you use a particular translation of the Bible.
Yeah, I got you.
Some trans.
Which
Some
is why he-
some
oh, sorry.
translation. some translations translate the word as space, where firmament's used.
Yeah, which is
And they
really
just
why
use space.
it shows how smart this guy was. Is that he knew he had to get something on his headstone to do a wink and a nod and say, hey, the government was not being truthful to you in the 1960s and 70s. They basically held a gun to my head and forced me to make weapons because Nixon hated communism. And at the end of it, someone want to jump in there?
I was just going to say, so apart from a sort of vague Dan Brown symbolism kind of meme, do you have anything else to support the hypothesis that he was trying to give us a nod and a wink?
Yeah, because I don't think. I mean, it doesn't even say the psalm on his gravestone. It just references the psalm.
Yeah,
and I think that,
it's a proverb.
I think that we should think about who orders tombstones and who picks them and selects what's on them. Not usually the dead person. Usually one of their relatives, right? And I think that if someone spent a lifetime working on a career in space, I don't think it's odd that they select some passage from the Bible that references that in some way.
But it's also, Jem,
he said
Proverbs was basically a set of metaphors. Like the book of Proverbs was a metaphorical book, right? And that's where that comes from. The metaphors of the Bible.
In his will, he said exactly what he wanted his headstone to be. If it had been his family, they would have been like, hey, this guy was a founder of NASA, redeemed, born again Christian, something along those lines.
How do you know it came from his will? How do you know it was in his will?
That's the
Where's
way
that
the story
coming
goes.
from?
What do you mean story?
The story. Yeah, but what evidence is there that this was in his will? Because people's will, they're not usually a public document that everyone gets to read, are they? So
yeah, it was like some interview from a secretary that said, asked him like, why did he want this grandiose statue, like a hand lifting up into a sky with a rocket on one side and the moon on the other hand? And I guess the secretary said it was just really short. He just wanted a plaque, not even a headstone, and it just says in there the firmament.
You're making
Bible.
this up, dude.
But
sure, go with that.
You're just going on hearsay now.
Yeah, that's how you're going to get these things.
First you said it was in his will.
How would his secretary? Yeah, how would his
that's
secretary
right.
have access to his will? She wouldn't have access to his will, would she?
Okay, sure.
Why would she?
I mean, I've got a problem. I mean, I love Psalm 23. I can quote it off the top of my head, but I'm not a Christian. Never have been.
Anyway, we've sort of got bogged down in this a little bit, but my point was that I think you guys now should be. It seems to me that what I see going on is that people think they've got a good argument with this gas pressure without a container, where it gives them the feeling of a win. If they, somebody says, "Oh yes, you can," and then they go through all the rigmarole, and at the end of it, somewhere along the line, there's something that you guys can call a container, and you go, "Ha ha! There's a container, I win." And it seems like that's all you're bothered about. If this is true, if you've hit on some anomaly in physics that nobody else has known about, and this anomaly means that the existence of this container is a true thing in our world, then I think you should just want more than, well, Nathan Oakley gave us a good logical argument for it. You should want to be able to see this container or detect it in some way, and nobody can. And when I push them on this, usually they start saying things like, "Oh, well, it's not actually a physical thing. It's just a force, or something else. It's magnetism, or you know what I mean." Nobody actually has seen, or there's no physical evidence of it, and I think that should bother you.
Well, I mean, electric universe people don't deny local gravity. They just deny gravity is the major force at extreme scales. That's how I understand it.
Yeah,
okay, I found something here. Okay, so this is on the spacereview.com. It says von Braun's faith, life-ending illness, and why he believed in intelligent design of the universe. he became a catchphrasing lightning rod of the debate. This talking about the flat Earth debate. So it says here, this is what he wrote supposedly in his will, right?
Supposedly.
He said
You
von
shouldn't have
Braun
led
chose-
with supposedly.
Yeah, that's what because you don't know for sure, right? You have to go dig them up and put on some sort of memory device and scan the corpse's memories. I mean, okay. So anyway, so
Or
while
you could just read his actual will.
yeah, so while von Braun used words carefully, it goes on to talk about like being German and English and stuff. In his mind, there is no conflict or debate for the ability for the Earth to sustain intelligent design life, which in turn is capable of producing machines, which in turn capable of exploring the moon, the planets. But the clear evidence is why von Braun, the man of the universe, cited a creation of God. Okay, and this is what the writer
because
says.
he was Lutheran from birth.
So what?
Yeah.
But so what? That means
He's from a Lutheran family. His father was Lutheran. He was actually a baron. He was royalty in Germany. Well, before 1919, when all the rights got dissolved.
Okay, so this is what the author of this blog says, right? For this reason, von Braun has chose, approaching his advanced terminal illness, a modest gravestone to cite his favorite Bible passage in Scripture. His gravestone simply reads, von Braun, 1912 to 1977, Psalm 19.1. The heavens are telling the glory of God. The firmament proclaims his handiwork.
Actually, it's the skies.
So this
proclaim the work of his hands. I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
I got you. I'm not going to do it a third time. Go on, mate.
But this source refutes you. Your claim is that he had to do this because it was a nod to the rest of us that he was forced to do it at gunpoint by NASA. And yet here here your source tells us that this was actually his favorite Bible verse.
Yeah, for weapons. Like he was basically forced to.
No, it doesn't say that it was his favorite Bible verse for weapons. It says it was his favorite Bible verse.
No, I said produce. He was after Operation Paperclip. You guys heard of that before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they brought over a lot of Nazi war criminals and gave them a chance, like work for the federal government or hang.
No, they weren't all Nazi war criminals. Not all Nazis were war criminals by definition. So let's get rid of that silly statement at the beginning. Yeah, you can look at some of von Braun's work, under the SS when he was running factories, and that could be a concern. I agree. And when it comes to his favorite star, of course, this is a guy that spent his life as an engineer designing shit to go up into space. He loves space. He is showing his passion for space, and he's showing his amazement in the creation that God has given him to explore, and how lucky he was to be able to do it. That's what it says to me.
Yeah, to me it says that he developed the V2 rocket, Retribution, that he used his knowledge in rocket science, if you will, to punish people because they were
took the first pictures of Earth.
No,
in 48.
No, to kill people. This is about weapons.
It also took the first pictures of Earth from altitude that showed the curvature of it.
Yeah, and it also killed a lot of people.
But his early work, he was interested in ballistics and rocketry and the possibility of getting outside the Earth's atmosphere.
I also noticed another thing that you said earlier.
Weird.
You said something about him looking at the planets and the moon and wanting to go to them. So again, that might be another point that refutes what you're saying here, because
no, it doesn't. He actually wrote a book about how
he wanted to get to the moon and the planets, didn't he?
You're jumping the gun here. You're trying to skid the greases. He wrote a book about if he went to Mars, he would be able to restart the Third Reich with a Fourth Reich and create the perfect
no shit.
Well,
yeah, it's called.
That's why they wanted to get into outer space. Yes, which exists, and that's why he wanted to get there.
Yeah. So hold on.
Yeah. So
I can't remember the name of the book.
The
it's something
planets
about
and the moon were outside of the atmosphere here in space.
He wrote the book he's talking about is called Das Mars Project, or the Mars Project. I have it in my shelf.
Yeah. So he makes this claim about that dictatorships ruled with a brutality where people basically have a choice to walk.
This information comes from a blog, secondhand.
Yeah, dude, this is enough. Okay,
Crit, you do realize that he was under the, he worked for the Nazis with a gun to his head to develop
in
shit.
1952. I'm just looking.
Hang on, foolish. Hang on.
Yeah.
Right. So only 8 or so years after the fall of the Third Reich, when he's been pinched by the US government to help them design fucking rockets and shit, right? He writes a book explaining about shit he was fucking indoctrinated with 10 years previously. In other words, that's what he knew.
Yeah, I get you. And that's probably a really solid case for like this idea of trying to deprogram people who are really blinded by government propaganda. That somehow they think their government is so correct that they're willing to do horrible things. And Voltaire referenced this. Voltaire said, if you can convince someone of absurdities, they'll commit atrocity.
And Voltaire also said it's all for the best in the best possible world.
Yeah, he also said, if God doesn't exist, you would surely invent him to keep human rights outside the purview of men.
Yeah, I agree. Because we know that a lot of people are pretty shitty.
Yeah, really shitty, right? And that's one of the reasons I think the Earth is flat, because a globe model, a heliocentric model, would have thrown away this level of shittiness by now. People would have said, damn, there's a lot of space out there. There's a lot of things out there to look at. Why is everyone so shitty to each other?
Because people generally are quite selfish and inward looking rather than outward looking.
I think people are saying that.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it's not saying it loud enough.
I think our world gets progressively less violent and gets progressively fairer. That does not mean that there isn't, horrible violence and horrible instances of unfairness in the world. There is, but I think as an organism as a whole, I think we are improving things. It's just taking a long time.
I think the change now is when you get interrogated by the police now, they'd ask you if you like a cup of tea or coffee, rather than would you prefer the nut squeezer or the thumb crusher.
Mm-hmm. But I guess I don't know where we're going with this. We seem to have drifted a long way from my point, which was you should have some physical evidence of this thing, and what you've given me is von Braun's tombstone, which is about as far from physical evidence of a container as you can get.
Yeah, supernatural.
Actually, Jim, if you get the chance, have a look at that book, The Mars Project, because he not only goes into going there, spending 443 days on Mars, coming back, the type of fuel he uses, the type of weight the rocket's going to be, the amount of fuel he needs, the type of fuel which it's corrosive, and some of the conditions he needs to do that. So if this guy doesn't fucking think space exists or the planets are out there, that's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, it's science fiction. Yeah. This isn't an actual technical manual of how to fly to Mars.
It's not a fiction book, though, is it?
Surely,
no, it is.
If he was going to try and get a nod and a wink out, he would do it in a published book.
It's not a fictional book. It's not a novel, is it?
Yeah, it's a novel about a guy called Elon, the first dictator of Mars.
It says it's a 1952 non-fiction scientific book. My phone's ringing.
It basically, Crit, he wrote a blog about his idea of going to Mars and creating a regime, right? And he worked out all the ways to do it, how to do it, what he needed, the type of rocket, the type of fuel, all that sort of shit. It was non-fictional because he knew all that shit.
Yeah, how about this one, right? Can we agree on this at least? If space is real and Mars is someplace humanity can go to, can we leave the World War II Nazi-style dictatorship, something that is not baggage that humanity should bring with them?
I think that would go without saying if we managed to get there. We would attempt to, but humanity is always going to be humanity, and we're always going to fight, and we're always going to be... Look what happened this morning, well, yesterday, in the fucking Capitol building in America. They stormed the fucking place and someone got shot. We're always going to be shitty to each other, no matter what planet we're on.
Yeah, 10 people got shot and one's died already. Other people are...
Yes,
you know,
she did, and she was a fucking veteran.
See, this is an issue, too, that a lot of these... this side topic thing real quick, but a lot of these protesters have been pushing the police around all year. You know, a lot of these protesters...
Hang on.
Okay, let me get to the end of my point.
What protest group was it at the Capitol building?
Okay, can you let me finish at least?
No, you need to substantiate the group.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'd also like to know what the fuck this has to do with outer space and going to Mars and whether or not space is real or not.
I'll let you know very quickly, okay? You just got to listen. You just got to use 2 ears and listen. Are you ready, or should I just let you guys talk?
Oh, I thought you were Lecture Universe.
Okay, so here you go. So all these protests, like in Berkeley and North Carolina, that the protesters have been pushing these city police jurisdictions around all year. They decide, you know what, we'll storm the Capitol and do the same shit here and just run the show. But they failed to realize that the Capitol Police are virtually a special forces unit. They've got the Capitol Police and the Metro Police. The Metro Police are kind of like your day-to-day type stuff. The Capitol Police are like, fucking Green Berets and shit. And they got they got their asses kicked in a very glorious way. And this is kind of like the wake-up call. That if police can be so perfect inside the Beltway, inside the Capitol building, why is it in 2021 there's massive police issues inside some of the more other larger cities around the country?
Well, that's not really the point I think Davros was getting to. I mean, if you look at the way that the protesters at the Capitol building, or Cypher even, was getting to, was if you look at the Trump supporters and the way that they were escorted from the Capitol building versus how some of the other protesters were treated on the left, Democratic, whatever side you want to call it, which were rubber bullets and tear gas. So if anything, I would say that there is a definite bias towards treating the Trump supporters and the way they've treated others.
Well, not just that, but you're drifting further and further away from what the fuck does any of that have to do with getting to space and its existence or not at all? What? Please tell me.
Yeah, if you're having a difficult time following the conversation, just listen.
I'm not having a difficult time following the conversation at all.
But you clearly have a very difficult time going from point to point.
Let the convoluted idiot have his dream, okay? Because he's just going to carry on going on to different topics over and over again.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm trying to drag him back to the point. What does any of that, what does humans having being shitty to each other have to do with space's existence, Crit?
Yeah, that was explained to you
earlier. You said you were going to answer it quickly.
Okay, here you go. That was explained to you.
On about something that I made a point about, only to say that humans were shitty to each other.
Yeah, are you listening?
No, I was still in the middle of my fucking sentence.
I got you. Because you said it like 4 times already.
Again.
Okay, even Gem Panda broke this down for you, Big Bird and Barney style. If you missed it, that's on you. I'm not here to spoon feed you information. If you can't get it, no, I'm not.
Preaching. Now get out of the pulpit. We're bored.
No, I don't need to sit there and rephrase something Gem Panda said.
What does it have to do with space's existence?
Yeah, listen. I don't
need to... Just another pigeon strutting around the chessboard trying to look flash, but you're just knocking the bits over and shitting everywhere. Now shut the fuck up.
Can you leave me out of your delusion of space then? Can we do that? Can we reach unconditional acceptance, right? You think I'm just a pigeon spouting shit. I really don't care about humanity. I really don't care about the condition that the federal government...
Okay, go ahead. I gave you 3 seconds and you babbled past it. You still haven't said what any of this shit has to do with the efforts to get to Mars and space's existence. Have ya? You've gone off on another tangent. So you can distract from the question that I asked about fucking 10 minutes ago now.
Yeah, you don't get it, do you?
Yeah,
I really don't get the flat Earth need to divert from the question that gets asked of them.
You don't get it yet.
Gish gallop of nonsense, and you want to get it out.
No, right now.
We've had some mod guys. We've had some mod direction. We've had the direction from mods, and the mod says we're talking about Mars and space, not politics.
And hear this.
So I think that's why you need to get back on topic.
Yeah, it's very easy.
That's why I was trying to keep him on topic. What does any of this have to do
what you're doing right now? This baggage this hang up baggage that you have about me is not something you should bring with you to Mars. How about that? Does that make sense?
I don't disagree.
You're still
with you
not
on
answering the question.
I don't disagree with you that we shouldn't be bringing our human fucking baggage shit to Mars. But guess what? We're human, and we're going to take it at some point wherever the fuck we go.
We'll solve your issue.
But my
goal here. I just want to watch the downfall, document the downfall. Because at this point,
oh mate, I wake up every morning hoping that an asteroid will fucking hit us at some point.
Well, look, we agree then. We got this idea that somehow enough is enough, right? The world is so fucked up so often that people just stop noticing that the best solution at this point is extinction level event. My idea.
One of the two.
Yeah, which one do you think is easier? Extinction level event?
I think being less shitty to each other is actually probably easier than an asteroid or anything like that, but that's just me.
Oh, sure. I guess that makes sense too. Like, just kill each other instead of let nature do it.
Typical.
Right? Is that what you're saying? Beat nature to it. Kill each other before the asteroid does.
I'm saying be smarter and be nicer to each other. Just be generally better fucking people.
Well, look at this way.
When we get to Mars and beyond, hopefully we can, maybe if there is alien life out there, they'll look at us and go, okay, well, these guys aren't trying to kill each other anymore on a mass scale. Maybe we'll actually talk to them now.
But Cypher, the important thing is he recognised that Mars exists and we can go there. And we shouldn't take our baggage with us. These are all things that we said on this server today.
Yep, straw man.
Well,
I said
I'd like
if.
to actually go
You
live on the
hear
moon.
the word if once in a while.
I would like to have a holiday to the Sea of Tranquility.
This is what I would like to see.
You didn't
if people
use
actually
the last time you said it round, Crit. That's why I did it.
If people actually believe in the globe, why don't they start behaving like it's real?
We do. I
don't see it.
I used to work with it like telecommunications equipment that basically wouldn't work if it wasn't a fucking globe.
I'm not talking about building some sort of telecommunication. I'm talking about your behavior, your mannerisms, your psychology.
Behavior has nothing to do with the shape of the planet. What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
The way unconditional acceptance. Flat earthers has to do with them being window-lickingly stupid. That's what it is.
There you go again.
What is it that you mean by that, Crit? Could you just explain further?
What sort of behavior are you looking for?
Like some idea that you can give peace a try. If there's enough space.
You didn't make me.
Hey, Cypher, could you just let him finish, please?
Sorry. No, it's so cool. Jump in. If we can stop right at the point of contention and then keep working backwards. So go ahead. What was the first point of contention?
I was just saying you obviously didn't know. Like I think I've gotten a lot calmer since I started doing all this flat earth shit. Like I still get riled up every now and then, but I don't explode like I used to. And these guys can probably attest to that, I hope. I still do go off, but I've tried to tampen it down on it, which it means I'm trying to, rein in the humanity and the anger and the shit that I, go through. And I try not to direct that shit and anger towards flat earthers anymore. But thank you, Scott. Yes, I've tried to tamp down on it, but I'm only human. We all are. No one's ever going to not, except for maybe Scott. He's a good example of being like zen all the time.
I don't
know. That's not true.
Scott...
I've seen Scott mad. I've seen Scott lose it.
I get mad. Oh yeah.
Yeah, just bring it up 10 times 10.
Well, 10 times 10 is not an example of that, but yeah. I have
a globe or a flat Earth. How should we treat each other differently based upon the shape of the planet and its existence? They both require that we all get along and give peace a chance. So there's no difference.
Okay, so you said Cypher, right? Where this idea of flooding, when you first started talking about this, it triggered a vitriolical response. And I had the same, actually, I was the same way. The first time I heard about Flat Earth, actually, I was doing a anti-war protest, and we were kind of going door to door, because both congressmen from my state, one died in a plane crash, and the other one had a nervous breakdown. So I'm like, I had to get some sort of petition to try to get Minnesota to denounce Bush's war of aggression.
Excuse me, I just don't know. Is this an answer to my question, or is this a story about something else?
No, he's all over the shop again.
Okay. All right. So then when I heard this protester, we'd go to door and explain how there isn't WMDs. This is all drummed up. This is fake evidence. This is basically following this.
So this isn't an answer to my question. Okay,
this is
that's all I asked.
The Republican playbook. And then all of a sudden he would break into like flat earth shit.
Doesn't give a shit what it's relevant to, do he? Just carries on with his little monologue in his pulpit there.
Patience, for God's sake.
So then he would go on with his flat earth stuff, and I'd be like, we almost have these people. Then you started saying a bunch of nonsense. This is absolutely ridiculous, dude. And I went to the organizer. I said, I can't walk with this guy anymore. I go, at this point in my life, I became a pacifist, changed my diet, started meditating more. And I go, I'm going to punch this dude. I'm going to knock him out. And then the organizer said, well, no one else wants to walk with him either. So it's either that or just quit. Because you have to go in pairs, because some of the people doing door to door were attacked, and they said that they realized that because they say that you're a terrorist, and people had rocks thrown at them, threatening with guns and stuff. So then I said, okay, sure, I'll keep going with them. But the first day, the next day, I said to him, if you bring up flat Earth today, I'm going to punch you in your mouth. And his response completely disarmed me. He said, if the globe was real, would there be a global war on terror? And it just knocked me off my socks.
Wow! Wow! I need a crane to pick my jaw up after that.
Yeah,
there'll be a plane war on terror. What's the fucking difference?
Yeah, exactly.
But who cares? That's a stupid.
That's
analogy of a word.
Yeah,
my
listen.
mind is fucking blown.
Yeah, the flat Earth completely explains why there's endless limited war in third world countries over a dwindling smaller national resource or non-renewable resource.
But we can only mine so much out of the planet that we're on.
I mean, whether it's a flat Earth or a globe, there are limited resources everywhere. I mean, we have limited resources in both models, and so we have plenty of reasons or bella cause for war in both models. And in fact, ostensibly, we know why people go to war, and it's not so far. It's never been for the apparent reason that they're fighting over land, or they're not fighting over flat. I should say flat Earth land.
Dude, that's sorry, okay. That's a really good thing too, because these same psychopathic idiots who drum up fake reasons to kill each other are the same psychopathic idiots telling you they're exploring space for the betterment of humanity. Not
they
flat,
are exploring space.
We check.
What?
Yeah, they are, and they're not psychopathic idiots that say they're exploring space. They're just normal people like you.
No, this is the federal government, the executive branch of the federal government.
But even them, NASA is not as much as psychopathic idiots. They're just people.
Well, they're the same
what
ones.
About the Indian Space Agency.
Yeah, India. Yeah, they're basically at a standstill with their neighbor Pakistan because they disagree so severely over a region called Kashmir.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting how India actually launched a Pakistani satellite then, isn't it?
Well, but we're building a wall between us and our neighbor because we don't, it's like people get into conflict.
Yeah, I love that. Show me a wall working on the globe.
Well, it doesn't really work, but
it doesn't.
No, but that's not really the point. The point is that people have conflicts over all kinds of stuff, but it doesn't mean that the people that are going to space are psychopathic idiots.
And the Great Wall of China would like to have a word with you.
They're drumming up fake evidence, like all these photos. Yeah, all these 7 photos that Colin Powell showed the UN, satellite photos that NASA took that they said showed nuclear missiles pointed at Israel and Europe with a 45-minute launch capability. Only a psychopath would have told him that was true.
Why?
Because it's basically the start of war. What type of person?
But what if it was true? Is my point.
It wasn't true.
How do you know?
It was all up, and they knew it right from the start.
But how do you know that?
Yeah, because
evidence, please.
Yeah, because these photos never existed in the first place.
What do you mean?
Evidence, please.
You don't have satellite photos.
Also
guys, let him say what he's saying.
Pointing at those countries too.
That sounds like a misinterpretation. So when Iraq was launching Scud missiles all over the place, they had a 45-minute launch time window for those missiles, and they required a concrete launch platform. So that was one of the things that was picked up. We went round looking. We found some other stuff that looked like it could be launch silos or missile launch systems, but that wasn't seen as rock solid. There was certainly, we obviously had Hans Blick and the UN team in there looking for weapons of mass destruction, which we all know they didn't find. So I'm not sure what you're talking about here.
Okay, I'm talking
about what I do know.
Hold on, Trust, let me explain.
No, go ahead. If you've got clarification.
I just want to do what I do know is that within the Levant we have found nearly 10,000 archaeological sites due to satellite imaging.
Yeah, well, I also know too that if the globe is real and humanity evolved on this cradle of civilization, and the same people who are exploring space for the betterment of humanity, not flat weak checked, why have they bombed the cradle of civilization twice with depleted uranium weapons, completely ruining the site for the rest of the time?
Yeah,
Hang on. Why did we in World War II? Is that what you mean?
I would really
No,
like to reply
Iraq
to that point,
won.
if I may.
Yeah, Desert
Sorry.
Storm 1 and 2.
Trust. I just want you to ask this question: where does he think the cradle of life is?
No, that's immaterial. I mean, we can say that Mesopotamia is the cradle of civilization. I don't have a problem. I'm not going to equivocate on pedantic points because that's just that. What I have a problem
I'm
with
thinking Rhodesia, mate.
No, it's the Tigris-Euphrates River Valley where they think the Garden of Eden is.
No, it's not.
That's the home of civilization. That's where we first see. That's where we have the first evidence of what we classify as civilization meeting the 4 main criteria. So the problem I've got with what you say is, yes, there was some archaeological damage there. It was nowhere near as the damage done to the temple in Syria, which ISIS completely destroyed. And the only thing we now have is 3D imaging. It doesn't count to all the archaeological sites that these people have destroyed on purpose, not accidentally, but on purpose. So where's the intent to destroy these sites from coalition forces?
Not to mention, guys, I just want to make one point out, which is fairly fallacious, which is your question was why, if we're exploring space for the betterment of man, why would we then bomb the cradle civilization? But you're acting as if this is all one monolithic actor, and it's not. It's astronauts in space have nothing to do with where we bomb and who gets bombed. It's completely independent process in the same way that I, if I work.
Okay, I'll tie it up a nice little pre-bow for you. That a lot of these astronauts are also high-grade military officers who actually partaked in said events.
Hang on.
They got
Name one. Name one.
All of them.
No, that's not true.
No, I asked you to name one.
That's just not true. Now, some of them are ex-military.
Okay, how about this? Well, I'll name one right here. Hey, Scott, right? Was your dad a high-grade military officer?
No, he was.
He was a colonel in the Air Force.
There we go. I named one.
Hold on. When he becomes a astronaut, he becomes a civilian, though.
Wasn't he a World War II vet?
No, he wasn't.
Did he
old enough?
Well, I don't know how. I really don't know that much about you, actually. I just.
Oh,
I
not
just
that
know
old.
At some point,
only 50.
Here's
Scott's granddad.
Astronaut, you're being paid and you're acting as a civilian. Okay, there are a couple of military astronauts, but they're all pilots. But like for example, my dad was a civilian astronaut despite being a colonel in the Air Force. As an astronaut, they're not doing any of the kind of stuff that's involved with with these kinds of warlike decisions. I don't think there's a case. I cannot think of one case of an astronaut after being an astronaut going back to work in the military full time. Almost invariably,
was it Hatfield?
They do when they retire.
Yeah, Chris Hatfield. He went right back to the military.
Chris Hatfield's a consultant.
Yeah, after he did his little shtick with NASA, he went right back to Canadian
little
military.
shtick, 20+ years.
Yeah, right now he's a consultant, so I don't know what he did back in the military, but maybe you're right.
But let's not lose the point. So military crit. Go on.
Yeah, and then you've got so all these 7
people are not.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And it's not really, it's like, I mean, even you can't even really point to the military and call it a monolithic action, right? Like the people making decisions to bomb a certain place are a very small, select group of people, and the people that are doing something good for somebody, whether they're in the military or not in the military, whether they're astronaut or not astronaut, those people are different people, and that shouldn't be confusing.
Yeah, a lot of political strife going on because it's even more so if you look at Russia or China's, quote unquote space programs, they're directly tied to the military. They're functional parts, almost like a for
That's
real.
Not
space
the United
force.
States, though, is it?
And then you have the European Space Agency, which is.
And you've got the Australian Space Agency, ARSA, ARS. Like, come on. Like, just about every country in the fucking world has a space program, man.
There's basically 7 of them. You could stretch it out to make it.
Mexico has a space program. Canada, Australia, let's see, Korea, China, India. Who else?
I'll list them for you. You
Russia,
got
obviously.
China, Russia, North Korea, India, Iran.
And you've got the private companies like SpaceX, which is the biggest of them.
New Zealand has a space agency.
There you go.
England has intercontinental ballistic missiles, so we can fucking hit space anytime we want.
Yeah, so you got China, Russia, North Korea, India, Iran, Japan, USA.
Yeah,
and you could
Japan,
stretch that out.
Japan.
You could stretch it out and say also Israel and France. That's it.
So every
That's
single
all
one of
you
these
got.
countries in the world are all faking the race to get to space because reasons to
Weapons.
spend money and weapons, right?
Weapons.
So they're spending all of this money on weapons, are they?
Yeah, it's basically these quote unquote
Measure
space
evidence.
programs.
You do realise that the European Space Agency has its own launch capabilities.
Not from what I've cited. You got
yeah.
one?
We have the Ariane missile.